Dish Network knows the importance of having a reliable television provider. That's why Dish puts reliability first, with 99% signal reliability anywhere in the country, including rural America. So you can watch your teams, news, and favorite shows without being interrupted, no matter where you live. Get 99% signal reliability with Dish. Call 1-844-CALL-DISH. Visit Dish.com or find a retailer near you to sign up today. 99% reliability based on data from set-top boxes.
This podcast is a member of the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
You are listening to the Flagship Podcast with your hosts, Joe Lanza.
You've told me like 4 times. I can hear you breathing. Stop breathing.
I don't think I said stop breathing. To be honest, I did not say stop breathing.
Rich asked me to stop breathing.
I wouldn't be the first person in the wrestling world to tell you to stop breathing.
And after this show, you won't be the last.
And Rich Crage.
So are you ready for Roadblock End of the Line?
Roadblock End of the Line.
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 Roadblock End of the Line. Roadblock End of the Line. Roadblock End of the Line. Roadblock End of the Line.
Roadblock End of the Line. Roadblock End of the Line. Roadblock End of the Line. Roadblock End of the Line. Roadblock End of the Line. Roadblock End of the Line. Roadblock End of the Line. Roadblock End of the Line. Roadblock End of the Line.
Roadblock End of the Line. Roadblock End of the Line seems to have some buzz. There's a lot of buzz for Roadblock End of the Line.
It really does. And we are live here on the Flagship Podcast. I'm Rich Crage. He, back from assignment, is Mr. Joe Lanza. Joe, what's happening?
How are you?
I'm good. Good. How's the motherland? Still in one piece?
Yes.
That's all you got.
Why wouldn't I be in one piece?
No, I said, is it still in one piece? Not you. I don't care about you. I care about, the Garden State. Is everything good there?
Oh, is New Jersey in one piece?
Yeah. Everything good there? You still can't pump your own gas, or what's going on? What's the deal with that?
No, that was lovely not having to get out of the car.
I can't believe that. It's
Hey, let me tell you something. When it snowed 2 of the days that I was there, it was very nice not getting out of the car to pump the gas.
Yeah, it is something that takes a little bit to get getting used to. I know I think it was Oregon that we went to. It was the same thing there. Oregon, I forget. Do you know how to pronounce it, Joe? I don't know why I'm asking you, of all people, how you pronounce Oregon. But anyway, you kind of get used to it. And I can't lie. It's, at first you're like, this is absurd. Like, let me pump my own gas. What century is this? Why can't I do this? But, sometimes you feel pretty good. The guy's like, hey, what do you need? And you're like, and let it. And then all of a sudden, I don't know about you. I don't know if this happens in Jersey too, but the guy starts pulling out the wand and he's cleaning your windows. And you're like, I can get used to this. This is pretty good. You know what I mean? You roll over the thing, the bell rings, the guy comes out, he's got the rag. He goes, hey, how's it going? How are you? It's a little bit, at first it's weird, but then you start to kind of get used to it. I think maybe we should all go back to that.
There's no reason why anyone should dislike it. Like, what's the disadvantage? Like, occasionally you might have to wait a little longer.
I guess that would be it. Yeah, I have to wait for the guy. Like, what if there's 20 people getting their gas? Like, let me just get my own gas,
Yeah, and you could be in and out a little quicker, but it's great when there's bad weather. It's great for just lazy purposes. It's like, there's no downside. I don't understand why people make fun of it. You know what it is? They're jealous, Rich. They're jealous that the people of New Jersey and Oregon don't have to get out of the car and put their hands on those filthy gas pumps, which really freaked me out when I first moved here. The idea that these gas pumps are touched by all these miscreants and who knows who's touching them.
Ne'er-do-wellers, right? Yeah, miscreants and ne'er-do-wellers and stuff, yeah.
And they smell like gas. There's gas all over them and everything else.
There does tend to be gas all over the gas. Yes, yeah.
So it's just like, let some dope do it if they're going to do it. I don't understand why there's like people make jokes about that. Like, why wouldn't you want that? It's a great luxury. And I don't understand why it creates jobs. How about that?
That's
Car
that
walks with
along the
VIP.
way, I kind of decided like, actually, this is a really, really cool thing because when I normally pump gas around here, like I don't see any, you know what I mean? I don't interact with anybody. I don't see anybody. Nothing gets done. I walk up, my card. I don't even swipe the card anymore. I just tap the card now. I fill up the gas. I get back in my car and I'm done. You know what I mean? Like I have done nothing. I've seen nobody. There doesn't need to be anybody. And there's even a few gas stations here. They're like completely unattended gas stations. You can just go and fill your thing up. They don't care. The transaction is done. You leave. You're good. If you don't need to go in to buy, a Slim Jim or whatever, nothing. There is no interaction between you. Whereas, this guy, I'm thinking, all right, here you go. And then I don't know what's the deal in New Jersey as far as tipping the gas guy, because we ended up finding out in Oregon that like instead they just get paid a living wage, so you don't have to tip them. So that was kind of cool.
There's no tipping etiquette for the gas station attendants in New Jersey. You don't tip them.
Yeah, because I was kind of weird about that. At first I was trying to, and the guys kept being like, no, 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 no. And I just thought they were being nice by saying no, no, no. And then I look it up and they're like, you don't have to tip them. They're paid like, they can pay their rent with their wages. And I'm like, what a novelty. Incredible.
No, they
okay.
They just think you're a weirdo.
Yeah. The guy was like, no, yeah. There's this like kid. And I tried to give it to him. And he kind of had this like, I should just take this. But then was just like, no, I'm good, man. I'm good. You don't have to. And then eventually, like one time we were there and a guy, it was like an older guy that was running. It was he probably ran this gas station or whatever, was like, you ain't from here, right? You don't have to tip me. We get paid all right. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I'm like, great. I'm like, well, you can take this money if you want. I already have it. And he was like, no, you're good, man. Spend it on something nice.
It's not a tip position. No. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. I think it's great. I don't know why people pick on that aspect of New Jersey. And it was the gas was, I know it's up everywhere, but it was very expensive in New Jersey compared to Texas. Texas, we're still at like where I live, we're at like $3.40.
Whoa, wow! I'm at we're at $4.80 somewhere around that.
That was New Jersey. That was what New Jersey.
Yeah, we're getting close to $5. Yeah, and that's a big reason why this show is starting later than usual. Is a phenomenon that occurred today in Chicago called gas lines. I throw back to the Jimmy Carter administration. Here we had a local Chicago businessman that decided to donate $1 million for a bunch of random gas stations around here to have free gas for people that wanted to wait in line to get that. And I discovered that a lot of people like to wait in line to get free gas, Joe, including somewhere around like the 800 people I had to navigate through to get home from work today. So
I am not waiting in line for free gas. I am not driving. I'm not driving an extra 6 miles to save 2 cents per gallon.
Yeah, you're not one of those. Yeah, and like I know that like for some people it comes from like a place of privilege or whatever. Be like, I don't need to do whatever. Who cares? But like also like my time, I value my time a lot, and I value. There's just you're not making any sort of like, especially like you're saying, like the driving 8 miles out of the way to get like 2 cents off the gas. Like you're spending more in gas to get there to save the 2 cents, and that was occurring with this gas line too. Like, yes, if you could just roll up and in 20 minutes get free gas, sure, all right, that's great. That is a decent transaction to make. Get $50 worth of gas. I think it was up to $50 for 20 minutes of your time. Not bad at all. If you needed to fill up, that's perfect. There were people, I mean, they said that the minimum wait time was like 4 to 5 hours. Minimum 4 to 5 hours. Minimum.
No, thanks. No.
You're spending that money idling in your car. Like you're wasting $50 in gas idling in your car. Like you're going to have to get the fill up by the time you get there. Or, you're going to be on E by the time you get there. You fill it up. Like you're not gaining anything by this. You're net neutral at best.
No, my time is worth more than that. I'm not doing that to save $50. Not a chance. I'm definitely not driving out of the way to spend, $58.90 instead of $59.60 on when I filled it. It's just I can't do it. Look, it sucks.
I have a buddy who does that. We'll be like, if we go on a road trip, he'll like be aware of, it's like, hey, what was the gas at that last place we saw? I'm like, who cares? We're not going back. Like we're not doubling back to go save point. This one is not going to be $2 less than this one. Like I promise you, it's going to be negligible amounts of, it'll be cents. It'll be micro cents different. Like we don't have to worry about that. We're not going to have to turn around. Like we're not doing it. It just don't. Just get gas wherever you want to get gas. You're going to get screwed no matter what. Right? You know what I mean? Just accept it and move on with your life.
Yeah, that's exactly it. It's just, it's expensive now. There's nothing you can do to avoid it. There's no tricks. And I'm not sitting there for 4 or 5 hours to get one tank. I can't do it. I can't do that. I can't justify it. I don't know. New Jersey was New Jersey. I hadn't been back in a while.
Pizza's still good there?
Family had never been there. So, that was important to me and to them. You know, they had a lot of people they met for the first time, and ate a shitload of fucking pizza and Italian food. You know, saw some shit. That's about it. It's a great time.
How was the Broadway show? Did that end up happening?
I ain't good. I got my way out of that. Come on. You think I was really going to get roped into that? Come on.
I didn't know. You seemed like you. I don't know. You seemed like you said. Well, you said you had Rob Stryker buying tickets and stuff. So I don't know how far along the line it went.
I got out of it.
I thought you were going to finagle your way out of it. So I'm glad you did. So.
I look like the kind of guy who's gonna, sit there for bye bye birdie or whatever the fuck.
Annie, get your gun or whatever the hell.
Yeah. No, Nanette. No thanks.
Get up at intermission. Wow, that was a great performance. But get up at.
Yeah. None of those.
Holding your playbill, going, wow, yeah. That's tremendous. This is tremendous.
Hoping to get it signed by the third lead. Right? Not a chance. I doubt any of those are active shows. By the way.
Bye bye birdie. What do we say? What was the one you said? I don't know. Like the no Nanette. What is that?
No Nanette.
Okay, yeah, no, I'm not aware of that one. I know bye bye birdie. I run.
Get your gun. I think you threw out there.
Is that what the name of it was? I think I went to it. Yeah. No, that was definitely what it was. Annie, get your gun. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Annie Oakley
Fiddler
musical.
on the Roof, right? Fiddler on the Roof.
Yeah. These are all shows that at one time. Been done.
That's a play. No, I'm not, not a theater guy, no interest. So I weaseled my way out of that one. But
the more important part, aside from the pizza and the Sopranos houses or whatever and all that sort of stuff that you maybe.
Yeah, I went to Tony Soprano's house. Yeah.
I know. I had no doubt about it.
14 Aspen Court, North Caldwell, New Jersey. Absolutely.
So who just lives there? Is it just some dude that lives there now, or is it like
it's the same couple that lived there when the show was going on?
Okay, it's just the exterior of the house, right?
It's the exterior. They had the house for sale a couple years ago for $3.4 million, I think, but I don't know if they sold it. But it was, as of then, it was the same people who won the shit. Okay, so it's the exterior shot. The famous exterior shot, but they would go back and film all of the exterior scenes at the actual house. They filmed the pilot inside the actual house.
Oh, wow. Interesting. Okay.
But then when the show got greenlit, they built an identical set.
Yeah, it's going to be it's going to be pretty tough to have to go into a house all the time and film that stuff. So that makes sense. Yeah.
Right. But they did do all the exterior shots because you have to. You can't replicate that. So the exterior shots, I guess they'd go back. I don't know how they did it, once a year and shoot all the scenes for that season. I guess that would be the most efficient way, right? But that's how it works. But the house, they know that the house is like, they must know that tourists come because, the show is like, 23, 24, 25 years old now from when it started. They haven't changed anything on the exterior. Like all the hedges are the same.
Okay.
All the like everything is identical.
Is it on the National Register of Historic Places yet? It should be if it's not.
Yeah, it should be.
Because then they can't change anything legally. They can't. So
the thing about it, it's by far the least impressive house on the cul-de-sac. Like Dr. Cusimano's house, like next door, is far more impressive than like Tony Soprano's house. All the houses on the block are. So, we're pulling up we pull into the cul-de-sac. And it's like, it's like I'm driving into Mecca, it's like, oh, here, we're going to see it. Right. And it kind of just emerges at the end there. And it's like, and it did kind of take my breath away.
You're choked up. You're choked up. You're taking it back.
Yeah, the wife too. I'm pulling up and like, we're pulling up because I borrowed like my brother's second car, like his beater, you know what I mean? So we're on like this block with $8 million homes and my brother's like 97 like Chrysler 200. You know what I mean? So it's like they see we don't belong there, like the neighbors. Like, but the thing is, they must get that daily.
Oh, for
like,
sure.
People
for sure.
driving up to this house and just like, and we were respectful. We didn't go up the driveway and we didn't get out of the car and take mark pics like with like standing there in front of it. We were respectful. We stayed in the car. We just, we took some pictures of it from inside the car. And it was really just to say that we were there, Sadly, Tony didn't come, stumbling down the driveway in his robe to pick up the North Star Ledger, which is how every season would start. I know you didn't watch the show, but you imagine the scenes in your head when you're there. It's like, Big Pussy parked over on the side. When he came back, at the beginning of season 2 or whatever, like oh yeah, that's where Big Pussy was parked, where Tony was picking up. So it's fun if you're a fan. You go, you take a look at the house, you take a couple pictures. You feel the aura. You definitely feel the aura of the show when you're in the house's presence. But yeah, made it a point to go up there. You drive past the Bada Bing, which is now it's called Satin Dolls. That's the strip club. You do the Sopranos tour. You drive by the different landmarks from the show, because it was all filmed on location in New Jersey. They didn't fake anything. Yeah, that was a high point of the trip, I would say.
I'm surprised. Yeah, and I guess we didn't look into it if there actually is like a Sopranos tour thing, because that's a moneymaker for sure. Get a little school bus, put some people in there, get a microphone, you're good to go. You know what I mean? You could do it, honestly.
There probably is, but what do you need them for? Like, you just Google the fucking sites and
have you met humans? Like, they love that stuff. They would gladly pay you $30.
Myself,
yeah, but you're not most people. Most people need to be handheld to these things.
Yeah, I guess so. I had people who were mystified. They were like, how did you find that house? I'm like, just Google it. Like, it's like, what do you mean? Like, people go there all the time, so maybe you're right. Maybe it is like, I don't know. People
yeah. I mean, you could do, like I said, there's like that gangster tour. You could just drive to like these random, there's like a church that you drive to and there's like a bullet hole in the church. You could just do that on your own, at all times. But people like to do it in a group and have the guy go, all right, here's the bullet hole. And everyone goes, oh, like that's, it's just, it's tourism. It's fine. So I'm just saying, if you need a business, if you need a way to make an extra, buck on New Jersey, not the worst idea to spend your days driving around a bus full of weirdos and go, hey, here's the Bada Bing or whatever. And then go, oh, wow.
Yeah.
Take pictures. Oh, we'll get out if you guys want. Oh, what? You know what I mean? Like, I think you could really, then you could just be annoying to that house and just, you get a deal with the people that own that house. Say, I give you it's New Jersey. I mean, obviously they're going to need a little taste there. You can't just do it on their own. But yeah, I think you're underrating how many people would probably do this if you wanted them to do it. But
Probably. I don't know if the neighbors would enjoy tour buses rolling.
Yeah, too bad. Yeah, probably not, but too bad.
Just in the middle of a residential neighborhood.
Well, then move. You know what? Then don't buy a house by the Sopranos house. You know what I mean?
That's a good point. How many of them live there already in 1997? The people that moved there knew what they were getting into.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
So that's
like, you have to know that you moved in next door to Tony Soprano. Like, you have to know that when you move there. So that's a good point. No, what are we talking about? That's incredibly rude. You can't just bring tour buses rolling by someone's house. I mean, No, what are we saying here? You almost talked me into that.
You know what? Screw them. They shouldn't be in a rich cul-de-sac with Tony Soprano's house in it. That's their fault. I still, you can give them a taste too if you want. Well, now you're giving too many tastes and now you're not making any money. So I guess this thing's not going to work.
Now you're not making any money.
Yeah, this isn't a great idea then. Okay, fine. Someone's going to do it though. Someone listening right now is doing this and they're gonna laugh all the way to the bank. I'm telling you that. But
it probably is. Someone's probably done. It probably exists. But I didn't need that shit. I know where I'm going. I made sure to take TLB to all of the nicest and most beautiful places in New Jersey possible to break the stereotypes and the stigmas that the state is nothing but smokestacks and oil refineries, which is just a very small part of the northeastern part of the state. So that was accomplished as well.
Well, good.
Okay.
I'm glad. So she now
I know
she.
when you came,
Oh, yeah, I went to Newark. I was next to a prison.
You went to Jersey City and Newark.
Yeah, I did not get the best vision of New Jersey. Yeah, our hotel was next to a prison and a turnpike, and then we went to Jersey City. So, yeah, that's the extent of my Jersey, and, yeah, it wasn't great. So.
Yeah, when you went to WrestleMania weekend, you didn't take a day to take a leisurely ride up the Delaware River in western New Jersey through the farmlands. You didn't do that.
I went to lovely Rahway. Yeah, that was in pitch black.
Nothing lovely about Rahway.
Oh, okay.
There's nothing lovely about Rahway. Okay.
It was fine. It was a town and it had a rec center in it. Yeah.
Listen, decent working class town, no doubt about it. But nothing that you need to see. That's for sure.
I would not put that on your tour. I would not put that on your Sopranos tour as a jaunt through Rahway. I would not include.
Rahway gets a couple of mentions on the show, but I don't think they ever physically are in Rahway on the show. You know what I mean? So no, there'd be no reason to to go to Rawway on a Sopranos tour. You know, a couple nights in Atlantic City. That was nice. You know, a little gambling.
There you go. Do all right. How'd you do?
Well, you know, you got to ask Card Shark fucking Amarillo Slim TLB over here, who, sits down at a. Have you ever played video poker?
I have, yeah. It's a surefire way to light money on fire, by the way.
You may as well take your money and put it directly in a shredder. It's the worst thing to do.
I've never once won. I haven't even won 10 cents on video poker ever in my life. Just immediately put $20 in, hit 3 buttons, $20 gone. All right, well, that was fun. Like, what the fuck was I doing? Why did I do that?
She sits down at the video poker machine. Extremely drunk, by the way, by this point in the evening. I'm telling her, do not play video poker. On top of that, you're drunk. This is a waste of money. Third hand jackpot. I won't say how much it was, but let me put it this way. The trip got paid for.
Whoa.
I couldn't believe my eyes.
Unbelievable. Wow.
She hits 4 aces, which on that, because you know there's like a million different kinds of video poker within the machine.
Right.
She hits the 4 aces, and I could see like at the top of the screen, they show you how much every hand nets, right? So I see how many credits she's going to get. And she's just so drunk, she has no clue what's going on. She just sees it not stopping. And she can't believe her eyes. And she's losing her mind. And she's being, completely obnoxious. The people around us are annoyed because they're all no one likes the obnoxious.
No, nobody likes the winner. But that's fine. You know what? You get it once every. I mean, especially on video, but you never get it. So yeah, be obnoxious. Be happy about it. Who cares? Fuck those people.
So finally it stops and she wins what she wins. And I'm like, I was like, I can't believe it. You got the 4 aces. Look, you won. And she goes, well, what do we do now? And I was like, well, what do you want to do now? She goes, what's the point of gambling? Let's just cash out and go and fuck. And
my kind of girl.
Well,
yes.
I can't argue with that.
Yes, that is my thought. The second you win, leave. So that's why I don't win very much. But I'm like, hey, I'm up like $100. We're out of here. Let's go. Like, I'm good. I'm a high roller. So
I was like, would you like to go to the cashier, get the $100 bills, fan them out on the bed, and have completely obnoxious sex on top of money? And she said no, she didn't want to do that. So she wasn't that drunk.
Yeah.
So,
just put it in an envelope, put it away. But hey.
We cashed it the next morning and then had a very, very classy lunch at Hooters. So
as one would do after you win,
as one would do, So despite the big jackpot, okay, I already paid through the nose for dinner the night before. You can listen. We were going to Hooters the next day, okay, regardless of the jackpot. That's what was going to happen there. But yeah, so that was the Atlantic City experience, the Sopranos experience, and I don't know. The kids were great in the airport and on the airplane. I couldn't believe it. So that was the trip.
So did you have to check in your flight, or did you not check in?
Okay, so you spooked me when you said that the nurse got bumped off the flight.
All right.
So I
did spooked my mom, by the way. My mom, who listens, texted me the next morning and said, you better tell Joe to check in. He's going to get screwed. And I'm like, look, Joe is going to do his own thing. I'm fine. She's like, no, he has to check. Like, she was concerned. Like, she wanted me to send you your number to her so she could, like, remind you. She was very worried about this. So,
yeah, listen, I'm not a man who you could tell what to do, as you know.
I figured, yeah.
But I did get spooked, and I figured, you know what? If this was a solo mission, I'd roll the dice. But I've got a 5 and a 6-year-old with me. I better fucking do it. So checked in night before, and everything was fine.
It's good peace of mind. Good peace of mind.
If you have fucking kids with you, you get a special line at the security.
Yeah, you said that to me, and we were going back and forth, and I forget if it was on text or on Slack or whatever, and you said, yeah, the airport was great. Like, we got into the kids line. I'm like, kids line? There's a kids line? I'm thinking, man, I need to have a kid now. Like, I've never really wanted, we hem and haw it all the time, and obviously you haven't had one yet, but like, the idea that I could just waltz in through the airport on the kids line,
yeah,
that puts
they were like,
a big notch in the pro column, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, the line was obnoxious, and they're like, you said those your kids? I'm like, yeah. He's like, you come over here. Like a separate fucking metal detector where you just waltz through. You don't have to do the thing where you lift your arms and the fucking gimmick goes back and forth.
Whoa, really? Okay, now even you guys don't? So because you have kids, you guys are just like completely security cleared. Like, I'm sure you're fine. You have children. Move along. Like,
correct.
You couldn't possibly commit any sort of crime or anything. You have children. All right, move along, sir. Thank you. Wow, unbelievable.
The shoes are still off. The devices are still in their separate containers. Like, all of that remains. But you get to walk through a separate metal detector that is not the one with the thing that goes back and forth where you got to put your feet on the fucking diagram and lift your arms like you're a criminal. No, you go through a separate one with the kids. You just waltz through. Yeah, you just waltz through. And
Very
one
jealous.
of the kids got buzzed. And I was like, you got to go back. And they're like, nah, don't worry about it.
Damn.
So if you want to take down an airplane.
Have children.
Yeah.
Or put the knife on a child. Yeah, the nurse got a knife through Canada and back once, so I don't know how that happened.
Wow.
Yeah, she came home and went, "Oh my god!" And she went, "Oh, this knife! I forgot to take it out of my bag." And I was like, "Man, like I lost a lot of confidence in the TSA."
O'Hare let it through. Canada found
Oh,
it.
never mind. Canada, you're off the hook. Canada, O'Hare Airport, TSA, get to work.
It's gone through O'Hare TSAs twice.
There you go.
Because it's in my hiking bag. And I don't empty out all the pockets of my hiking bag, but I also use it as my carry-on bag. So then I show up in Charleston, dig through my bag, find my knife, and was like, what the fuck? So I give it to my dad because he drove there. So it got back to Chicago that way. The second time, it accidentally went through O'Hare and it went to Canada. And then on my way back from Canada,
the lovely folks in Montreal stopped you, yes.
they were like, the fuck is this?
Jean-Pierre Lafitte stopped her.
This was a carry-on bag?
Yeah, it's a carry-on bag.
Yes.
Oh, my God.
So maybe don't have full faith in the TSA.
I probably told this story on the air before, but did I ever tell you I was on a business trip and the guy from the company I was traveling with, like 2 months after 9/11, tried to get a whoa. Uh-oh. I don't know what happened there. Got the show coming through my phone. Like 2 months after 9/11, this guy tries to get a giant pair of scissors.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah. And because I was with the guy, like, you know what I mean?
Sequestered, right?
And instead of just being like, I'm sorry, I forgot. You can confiscate my scissors. No, he argued with me.
He wanted his scissors. Yeah, wasn't it like a business conference? And he was like, I gotta cut things. And they're like, all right, sir, you can just get another pair of scissors.
I'm like, guy, why do you?
Especially in November of 2001, maybe just let them take the scissors, dude. Like,
I'm like, we're going to a fucking Hilton. Ask the concierge for a pair of scissors.
Right.
You don't need to bring your own scissors. Can you let this one go? I'm like, please let it go. I'm like, please let it go. I'm like, and he's fighting with them to keep these scissors. And like 2 months after 9/11, ridiculous. And this doesn't make me feel any more comfortable that your wife is sneaking fucking.
Not sneaking, mistakenly bringing knives onto planes. So.
She's sneaking machetes onto airplanes through O'Hare. I mean, what's happening here? They're waving my 5-year-old through. Who knows? What
beep. You're good. Whatever. Keep walking. Do you know what even triggered? Was it a belt? Was it what triggered this? Like, how did this happen?
I don't know. They didn't make them go through again. Because I was nervous. I'm like, oh, you got to go back, like, And they're like, The guy was like, I don't know if he wanded him down with the wand. I don't know what he did, but he didn't. It's great. The kid line's phenomenal.
Yeah, it's definitely put a pro in the have kids pro cons sheet. I'll tell you that for sure. But we do need to get to the more important part of your entire trip to New Jersey, and that was the treasure trove of tapes and New Jersey Nets media guides that you discovered when you were there. There were some great screenshots we had back. What came back? What do we got here? I'm fascinated by all this.
Well, you'd be more interested in the 1991-1992 New Jersey Nets media guide.
Yes, I hope that is coming to my house. Are you sending it to my house? I think you have my address. I think you have my address, but please send that to my house.
If you want to take a look at it, the best is like the team directories in the back with like the old GMs and coaches listed and all that. Nobody would care about this except me and you. Then I've got the game programs from all these games and these 1990s Nets games. I got the Nets calendar with the Derek Coleman autograph. All kinds of shit. I got the program from one of the Jordan return games against the Nets.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I found all of my PWI weeklies from 1991, Pro Wrestling Illustrated Weekly, when they were trying to compete with Meltzer and Keller. And Pro Wrestling Illustrated was putting out like a weekly, like dirt sheet, but a dirt sheet in kayfabe, but written in the style of a dirt sheet. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, it does. I've only because I've read them before, but people listening probably have no earthly idea, and it's very strange and very weird. And I'm sure it was so exhausting to try to write it. Like, it's just unbelievably difficult for somebody that probably knows, PWI in general. PWI is pretty tough to write for. You kind of have to be in that era, for the magazine. You had to be in a certain, you had to write with a certain tone. You had to write with certain words. You had to say things in a way that, like, the guy writing it or whoever was writing it knows what the real thing is and knows what wrestling really is, but has to sort of pretend that they don't, but also kind of use a lot of fluff and a lot of, like, flowery words and stuff to kind of describe what's going on, but also do it in a way that makes it appear that it's a real athletic competition, whatever. It's actually very difficult. Like, it's essentially doing fiction writing every single day in a weird way. Whereas, like, Meltzer and Keller or whatever are just reporting. They can just do normal journalistic writing. It's not that difficult. It's just, sit down, write it, and but yeah, the PWI, I've always respected the way that a lot of their writers had to do, because they're essentially just, they're novelists every single week. Well, hell, every week with PWI Weekly, but every single month, I mean, they had to basically write different novels about wrestling, and that's very difficult.
Yeah, what was good about it was, like, it was weekly, so the news was new and relevant. Because if in those days, if you bought a Pro Wrestling Illustrated on a newsstand, it would, like, if it was March, right, the cover date would be July for some reason, and the contents of the magazine would be from December. Like, it never made any sense.
Yeah, it was a disaster. Yeah,
the news.
Yeah,
was
you're getting
old,
Starrcade. You're getting Starrcade reviews or, like, results in your March issue that's dated for July. It's a disaster.
So this fucking thing, you open it up, you unfold it. It's got all the results from the week from all over the place. It's got a transactions section, like the fucking sports section of a newspaper. Like this one, for example, says it tells you who won. Look at. Won the IWGP Championship by Tatsumi Fujinami on December 26th in Hatsumatsu, Japan. Fujinami defeated Riki Choshu, right? Then it says, stripped, Scotty the Body of the Pacific Northwest Heavyweight title. Scotty was stripped of the belt due to championship inactivity. And it goes on and on, like people who retired, people who were hurt. So as a fan in those days, you were getting up to the minute or up to the week, which was unheard of before the internet and all that. And they'd have ratings every week, like the new rankings every week. And, and then whatever the cover story was or whatever. And, but yeah, so I'm going to have to find a way to leverage these into some paid content, of course. So I brought these back, and we'll find a way to share these with the listeners. And then I got all the basketball shit that I know you want to dig into. And I found all my tapes. I found some old Japanese tapes. I didn't bring them back though, because I still don't have a VCR to play them anyway. So I really didn't know how to get them back. What was I going to do? Like, I'm going to have them mailed back to me. I can't bring them it's a lot to fucking lug on an airplane.
Yeah, it's going to get real heavy. Yeah, I wonder what you're going to have to do there. You're just going to have to go to, like, a FedEx or whatever and just say, like, how do I get this in the cheapest way possible to my house? Or, because you're not driving from New Jersey to, it's going to be tough. I don't know. And then the fun part, of, like, getting it on digital is going to be just an absolute fucking disaster. That's something
that's your job. That's your job.
That's fine. Yeah, I could do that. Yeah, maybe just have it sent to my house. I might just bring it to some people and just say, hey, please turn these into digital. Because, I mean, I guess I could do the setup here. It has to happen in real time. I could set it while I'm at work and stuff. We could maybe get that going. So.
Oh, because I got some sketchy ass, like,
you got some good shit that we need. You have some real good shit that we need.
There's some Wing and War shows from that era that I don't see floating around anywhere. Some real sketchy lucha handheld stuff that I don't. Who knows how much of that is out there? All kinds of crazy shit. Those old Bob Barnett comp tapes. I got a couple of those. So I had more than I even thought I had. But got to find a way to get those to you, and then maybe that's fresh content. Who knows? Or maybe it isn't. Who knows? But someone could go through that shit. But yeah, I don't know. That's the New Jersey trip. Hey, Rich, why don't you tell people not even where you're going, okay?
thought we were going to
Why
wait till
don't you
next week.
tell-
Yeah. I don't recall. Yeah. Okay. All right.
Why don't you tell people when? Because there's another, believe it or not, there's another vacation coming up, because of course there is. Tell the people, share with the listeners when you're going on this vacation. Go ahead.
Friday, April 1st, I depart for my location.
How many years is this that you've gone on a vacation WrestleMania weekend? This has to be at least
twice.
3.
It's only twice.
At least 4.
No, I swear it's only twice. It's the
So this is the 5th time you've gone on vacation.
correct. Exactly. You nailed it. Yes. The one time I went to California during, I think it was the New Orleans WrestleMania weekend. It was a very unique match that was happening at that WrestleMania many, many years ago. It was Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns. Do you remember that WrestleMania?
I do.
It was that one, yeah. So the very unique match. I don't think they've ever done that one again since, and they probably will never do it again. But yeah, Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns. That was the one I was in California for that WrestleMania weekend. So yeah, I'm going to be going during WrestleMania weekend again. So who cares about WrestleMania weekend anymore? Stinks anyway.
Oh, it's not like it's an important weekend for the site or anything or content. When your wife pitches these dates, I know what you're going to say. You're going to say,
yeah, you're using the wrong word. You're using the wrong word of pitch. Pitch is not.
She's got to do it a year ahead of time, and she can't pick and choose. Listen, when your wife pitches these dates, you've got to veto these dates. You got to say, we got to go the week after. How can you allow this? What are we doing here? 5 times now. WrestleMania weekend.
See, pitch is different. The term isn't pitch. It's here are the dates I have. These are the days I have. So we have to go on these days type of thing. I
don't buy it.
You can talk to her next time. I have given her next year's WrestleMania weekend again. So hopefully that we can. You do know what it is. See, there she is. She's listening in the background. She knows she's. I said you're going to give me a lot. People are going to get very upset about this. I'm going to be going during WrestleMania week, but she doesn't care. So,
okay, next year she pitches the dates to me, and I'll handle this for you.
All right, Joe's got a plan here. Get over here, nurse.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Giving her a headphone. She's here. All right. Explain how this happens. How I have to go on vacations during WrestleMania weekend.
Because that is already me getting my days off a year in advance.
Does it sound familiar, Joe?
I'm not disputing that
And
days off.
let me tell you, I work every 3rd weekend, and we're not allowed to request vacation if that's our weekend to work. So you have to, I basically have to request vacation on, the other 2 weeks, because I would have to find somebody to cover my weekend if I was going to be gone on my weekend.
So what would be the issue with going to your boss and saying, listen, my husband has very important duties.
So
WrestleMania weekend.
I've tried to do this. Well, I almost quit my job the other day.
I
They were threatening me to. Everybody left night shift, and the one girl was antagonizing me and specifically trying to make me mad to see how riled up she could get me, and it worked. Because she's like, yeah, I heard we're going to have to rotate to nights again, which is not out of the realm of possibilities because they did it a year or 2 ago, right?
Yeah, about 2 years ago, yeah.
And I had to work a random 3 night shifts, and it was miserable. I did night shift for 8 years. I don't need to be doing that shit again, okay? And she's going on and on. Yeah, well, this person left. I don't know what else you would do. I think we're just going to have to go back to working nights, rotating to working nights. And I said, you know what? My husband makes too much money for me to be working nights. I'll just quit. I don't need a job.
You hear this shit?
Yeah.
I had to remind her, not really. No, not yet.
And then
come on.
And then I showed up to work the next day.
Don't start, Joe. She will do it. She will quit. Do not rile her up. Yeah.
I will quit.
She's always on the edge.
Listen, nurse. You two are made of money. I know what the site's bringing in, the Patreon, and you both have solid middle-class wages on top of it. I say you march in there, you make some demands, and if they're not playing ball Michelle's way, you walk out of there.
Dude,
because
don't even tell me, Joe. I'm going to be jobless tomorrow.
Yeah, she's going there in 8 hours.
And I'm working with my least favorite person tomorrow. Yeah. So that'll throw me over the edge really quickly.
Fuck that. Walk out, okay? Go drive Uber or something. You won't make as much. You won't make as much, but listen, with all the incomes you got going on in that house, and with as cheap as that guy is, we all know how cheap.
Right.
Listen,
you know what? Every day, Joe, I walk into work and I say, "Fire me, I'm already fired."
I taught her that line. I taught her the Ric Flair "Fire me, I'm already fired" line, and she loves it. So,
yeah, I like it. I support it. So I'm all about it. I'm not trying to talk you off the ledge. I'm shoving you off it. I say do it. Okay, you don't need their shit. Yeah. You don't need these COVID patients breathing all over you.
Yeah.
Here's the one thing.
Because all I want to do is be a fucking dirtbag and live outside and climb all day, and I can do that.
Here's the problem. What about your $60,000 of student debt?
If I pretend like I'm dead, they'll go away.
Okay, all right, got it. So.
Listen, some Bernie Sanders disciple's going to get elected one of these times.
First of all,
wipe it out.
How dare you?
They're going to wipe it out. Well,
Yeah.
it can't be Bernie anymore because he's like 80. He's going to be dead. But one of his disciples will get in there.
We didn't deserve Bernie anyway, okay, Joe?
Oh, God, here we go.
One of these, the crew, what do they call the
DSA?
What do they call the three broads? The ones that are...
Oh, like AOC?
Yeah, what's their name? The crew or the gang, whatever they call
something
them.
like that. I don't know.
Fucking Happy Bunch, whatever the fuck they are. One of them's going to rise up. They're going to get elected president, and they're going to wipe out the student debt.
Yeah, and my shit will be paid off by then. But because that's going to be like in 20 more years.
Let me ask you a question. You have a house, right?
Supposedly.
You both have two late model vehicles in the driveway, right?
So
you can.
The seat warmers on her are yeah.
The seat warmers on my Jetta are fading because I use them too quickly.
This bougie shit. You have two late model German vehicles in the driveway.
That is true. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let me make my point here. My point is you don't need good credit in the imminent near future.
Truth.
Slow play those payments and gamble that we're going to get a hard left president one day who's going to wipe this shit out.
I don't trust this country enough for that.
She has applied for the public service loan forgiveness, so we're working on that. So if that comes through, maybe
you know that's only for the government loans, not the private loans I have taken out. Right?
Jesus Christ! All right, give me the headphones back. Go to bed so you can go to work. Get out of here.
You're right, though, Joe. We have too little Bernie in our lives, and we need a little more.
Listen.
Yeah, fix those seats, Rich. Thank you. Who said that? Get them seat warmers fixed. My butt's cold as hell.
You guys are
supposed to get fired up in cold seats.
She overuses her heated seats and they're not working as much. She also left all the windows open in a rainstorm that may be related to.
Okay.
These are like
it happened one time.
What's happening?
All right, hit the bricks. You know why I have to do? That's why I have to leave on WrestleMania weekend because of this one. It tells me a year in advance. I did tell her this day, April 2nd, 2023.
It's not my fault.
That's when WrestleMania
when my
is.
Weekend fucking land.
Well, make it not land on that.
Let us get married in fucking April too. Then.
That was a problem too. Yeah.
Do you like the homemade?
I do like the homemade banana ice cream. Thank you so much.
You.
Yeah.
That's 3 ingredients.
Okay, hit the bricks. We got a show to do here.
People
don't want that. No, get out of here.
They
Go
want
away.
a healthy ice cream alternative.
They do not want a healthy ice cream alternative.
Okay, it's 3 ingredients.
Say the 3 ingredients and then hit the bricks.
You freeze. You break apart 3 full-size.
How long is this
going
to take?
Not very long.
Okay.
Well, the prep time a long time.
No. How long is it going to take you to explain how to make the ice cream?
Well, if you keep interrupting me, a lot longer. Okay, so what you do is you take 3 bananas, you rip them up, you freeze them for anywhere between 4 hours to 24 hours.
Okay,
the
all right.
longer you freeze them, the better. And then all you need...
Sure. Keep going.
You're being facetious.
I'm not. I'm loving this.
And then you get a half a cup of coconut milk.
Go change your bedpan.
You put that in. And then you blend it up. And then like this, that's just dark chocolate mixed in there.
There you go.
And then it's done.
All right, get out of here. Go to bed. Go smoke some weed and go to bed.
A healthy, non-dairy.
Get her out of here.
Joe, you're infuriating, Joe. Get out of here. Everyone's making everybody angry, so get out of here.
Put on your little hat and go take someone's temperature. Just get out of here. Just beat it.
The paper hat, yeah.
Put on a little paper hat with
get out of here.
Joe.
With the red cross on the front, the little paper hat.
When I get back from Alaska, I'm going to start my...
Spoiler alert, we were building to that, but all right, yeah, that's fine. No, that's cool. That's cool.
when I
blew the
get
gimmick.
home from my vacation that I haven't mentioned, I'm gonna start home brewing kombucha, so I can
hell outta
mail
here.
you some.
Oh wait, seriously? Are you really gonna do that?
What?
No, seriously. Are you being serious right now?
I don't know how I'm gonna ship it to you, but I could try.
That is almost as boring as the ice cream.
Yeah.
Oh.
You know what? Fuck you. You don't get some of the delicious kombucha. Okay. Goodbye. I could go through the brewing process if anybody wants to hear that.
No. We'll do a fired up about it. I won't release it, but we can record it. All right. That is the nurse. All right.
Enough of that.
Infuriating.
Jeez. Kumbata. I don't even know what that is.
Look it
Roped
up.
her in,
It's not kombucha.
I roped her in though.
You did. Yeah, that was good. You should have seen the glimmer in her eye when she thought you were interested in the.
Then I crushed her dreams.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to hear about that for weeks now. So thanks a lot. But anyway.
I should have known that Jersey asshole.
Wow. All right.
Hey, listen. I dish it. I can take it. It's fine. You know, I can't complain about that right now.
Yeah, she called you a Jersey asshole, but I mean, yeah. She's not incorrect. Yeah, she's not incorrect. I mean,
she just got ethered. How can I not take some back? That's how it works. So, you know, she's well within her rights. So you're going to Alaska.
Going to Alaska, yes, yeah. Which counterbalances you making fun of me for going to Death Valley last year. So now I'm going to the other extreme and going to the coldest place I could possibly go. So
you people go to every corner of the earth. What's wrong with I don't know, fucking Cabo or
yeah, boring.
Boring.
Yeah.
You know,
I just sit on a beach and drink. That's
go to the French Riviera or go to
Riviera.
People still go there? Go to
not me, but Branson. Why don't I go to Branson, Missouri, Joe? You're right. Why don't I go to
how about Acapulco? Acapulco?
Yeah.
No? I don't know good vacation spots. I
can tell, yeah. Let me go to Alaska, man. You know? The mountains.
Okay. I mean, look,
Northern Lights, some mountains and Northern Lights, you know?
Isn't it cold up there right now?
No, it's actually pretty it's remarkably
mild.
warm. Yeah, it's actually pretty mild right now, so.
All right. The problem is you're up there for WrestleMania weekend.
That is a problem. Yes, that is a problem. Well, Friday I will be on a plane most of the day, so barring if the Wi-Fi does work, I will be checking out the Friday lineup of WrestleMania shows, which all look pretty horrible. So there's that. We will not be doing any instant reaction lives for WrestleMania Saturday or WrestleMania Sunday though. So I will be missing the most stupendous two-night WrestleMania in history. I will be missing it live. So sorry.
I know you're broken up about that. You know, that does suck, though, because now you have to dedicate time when you come back to actually watching
It's actually
that
terrible. It's actually
it might be better to watch it live.
Absolutely,
right?
absolutely. Because now the idea that I have to sit down and watch the most stupendous two-night WrestleMania in history, I have to get back from my vacation and go, all right, on, Tuesday, a week after the show happens, I got to sit down and fucking watch the most stupendous two-night WrestleMania in history. Like, I don't think I'm going to do it. I don't think I'm going to be able to do it. I have to do it. It's our quote-unquote job, but it's going to be very, very difficult to go and watch those shows, like, out of context. Whereas, on Saturday, you're like, all right, fuck it. What else do I have to do? I have to do this. And that was our thought last year. If you remember, we did instant reactions for WrestleMania because I was like, well, fuck it. If I don't force myself to watch this thing live and I don't force myself to do content on this, there's a really good chance I won't do it. And this year's WrestleMania, holy shit, there's no chance in hell I would watch if we weren't doing this show. And I'm not saying that to be like hot takey or, oh, hey, there's, Voice of Wrestling giving the hot takes, the Flagship doing their hot takes on WrestleMania. Like, literally zero interest in any second of WrestleMania. Not 1 second, not one match, not one segment, not one guest host, not one storyline, nothing. Zero interest in the most stupendous two-night WrestleMania in history this year. Zero interest in any of it.
You've been checked out a very long time on WWE. I have recently become just as checked out as you. There used to be there always used to be something that was still holding my attention. Maybe a wrestler I enjoyed or 205 Live or NXT or something. But now I'm completely checked out too. And I got to say, there is nothing on either of these nights that's even remotely interesting to me in any way whatsoever. It's going to be a struggle. I think maybe because I have the bar set so low that I might find some enjoyment out of it if some things deliver, which isn't out of the realm of possibility. But I am not emotionally invested in the least in any of this shit. You can't be. It's awful. I mean, I think we've finally reached the point where it's impossible to pretend. It's impossible to talk yourself into being invested. It's just awful. It's so bad. I guess, is this our transition? Are we doing this now?
I guess so. Yeah. Well, yeah. I don't know. Is there anything else you want to do? Rake me over the coals on for going to Alaska during WrestleMania weekend or what?
No. Listen, the nurse ruined that because we were building to that, and we can't put the toothpaste back in the tube.
No,
okay,
it's over.
So that was going to be, the shot was going to be Rich is gone for WrestleMania weekend again. The chaser was going to be, and he's going to Alaska.
He's going to fucking Alaska to do it. So
yeah.
I believe there is a wrestling show in Alaska, that WrestlePro that runs there so often. I'm pretty sure they are going to be. Let me double check. I'm pretty sure they're going to be there when we're there.
Yeah, but you wouldn't even go to the Iceland indie shows.
No, they weren't running. I would have gone to the Iceland indie show. They weren't running when I was there. They were running like the week after. Oh boy. Hold on a minute. So April 9th, WrestlePro is going to be in Alaska, and let me double check. It's going to be in Anchorage, Alaska. I will be in Anchorage, Alaska on Saturday, April 9th. So there's a possibility I go see. This man appears to be Jim Neidhart. I'm not sure who that is. It's not Jim Neidhart. Scarlet Killer Cross will be there. The Dango guy, what's he called in NWA? Dirty Dango. He will be there. Tommy Dreamer will be there. This is a big show.
They all got COVID on the last tour.
Yeah, I remember that. So.
Yeah.
Bear Country will be there as well for the 3rd anniversary Super Show from the Egon Convention Center in Anchorage, Alaska. So,
yeah,
possibly Slater Heath will be there. Falaba, who is the WrestlePro Alaska Last Frontier champion, he'll be there.
That's the name of that title.
Yeah,
kind of wordy, isn't it?
The WrestlePro Alaska champion. There's the WrestlePro Gold champion. They're really hitting these things on the nose here. WrestlePro Alaska Last Frontier champion, the WrestlePro Alaska Tag Team champions, and then something called the 907 Pro Wrestling champion. A lot of titles.
Wow.
A lot of titles in this company. I don't know why they need so
many titles. A lot of
very
wordy titles, right?
Yeah, definitely. But Cheeseburger will be there. LSG will be there. Dan Maff will be there as well.
Dan Maff, huh?
Yeah, I feel like I kind of have to go to the show, don't I?
No.
All right.
I don't think you have to go to that show. Apologies to KM, but no, I don't think you have to go to. Maybe just to see what it's like. Like, how much could the ticket be? $20 or something?
Yeah, I closed the window, but yeah, it can't be too much. Just Saturday night, we're probably hanging out. I believe the nurse did actually send me a link to that at one point, so maybe she, an olive branch for feeling bad. For booking the trip during WrestleMania weekend. She's going to take me to see Bear Country and Killer Cross at the Econ Convention Center or whatever. Let me see what the tickets are for this thing. So, $35 get you in the door.
Oh,
that's tough.
That's Alaska pricing.
Yeah, that's tough.
You know what? I didn't consider that. They got to fly everybody to Alaska.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, fuck that. You can't do that as a gimmick.
Tough.
It's too much money. Too much money as a gimmick. Yeah. With these gas prices,
in this economy,
you gotta see how much the gas is up there. That's what you got.
Oh, it's got to be insane. Yeah, it's got. Well, I don't know. Yeah. Direct line. They got a direct line. I was gonna say they might be all right. So
all up there. Maybe that's why it's cheaper here. Yeah, I don't know. But this WrestleMania, let's try to find some things that we could be interested. Let me pitch you some things.
Let's do it. Okay, so people might think we're doing a bit, but indeed, if you go to WWE.com, you read all of their actual press releases. This WrestleMania is called, quote, the most stupendous two-night WrestleMania in history, which, okay, real quickly, a few qualifiers there. The most stupendous. First off, when we addressed this thing in our Discord, voicewrestling.com/Discord, we had somebody go do the Google Trends, which we like to do for a lot of WWE stuff, is look at the Google Trends of these weird words that Vince McMahon decides he wants to use or whatever. Stupendous, its peak, stupendous, 1770, I believe, was when stupendous had reached its apex, but has been steadily downward since then. So, buy low, sell high. So Vince McMahon getting in on the low market. for the word stupendous. So it's stupendous, which is a very strange word that nobody really uses ever. But it's the most stupendous two-night WrestleMania in history, and that's Joe. The competition for most stupendous two-night WrestleMania in history is not very. There's not a ton of competition for that. So maybe, I mean, there's only been one two-night WrestleMania in history. So I guess they're saying that this will be better than last year's WrestleMania. It'll be the most stupendous in history.
There's the third one, right?
No.
First Tampa with no.
Oh, that's right. The COVID one was a two-night WrestleMania.
COVID one was two.
Well, that
two
one
nights,
is not stupendous. We know that. That one wasn't that stupendous.
2 nights in an empty performance center. Remember
Yeah,
that? Oh
I
my
forgot.
God.
I completely. No, I don't. Clearly, I've forgotten all of that stuff. The
Brutal.
Boneyard match and stuff. Okay, I do remember some of that stuff. Okay, so yes, that was. So that one is out of the running for being a stupendous two-night mania, right? Like that one was not that stupendous at all.
I don't listen. None of these are fucking stupendous. Listen, they clearly are not getting 100,000 each night, but they're gonna say they got 100,000 each night. Right now, I think they're a little over 50 for each night. They're probably
let me see what WrestleTix was. I was kind of surprised by the numbers. A lot of people are saying, "Well, hey, for 2 nights, that's not bad," but I'm sure internally they're not high-fiving each other with those numbers.
Am I gonna shit on back-to-back nights with 50,000 people? Of course not. You can't do it. But the goal here when they were running that building was to put, they're going to claim 100,000 anyway, but to put close enough to 100,000 where, they could say they drew 100,000 people each night. That's why they're digging Stone Cold. That's why they're begging Stone Cold Steve Austin to work a match or do something physical that they could pretend is a match.
Yeah, we'll talk about that too. Yeah, we'll talk about that in a sec.
They're loading this up with celebrities and everything else, which again is like we talk about every year, the same self-fulfilled prophecy that they have created where none of their own people are over enough to sell tickets. So you have to beg not just Brock Lesnar and Ronda Rousey to come back. You have to get Stone Cold Steve Austin to come back, and you have to get Johnny Knoxville, and you have to talk Pat McAfee into doing a match, and you have to, you got to get Nick Khan's fucking nephew to be a DJ. Did you see that shit?
that Valentino, whatever the hell his name is. Yeah, is he actually related? Is he related to Nick Khan?
I have been told by a source that he is legitimately Nick Khan's something. Hold on, I'll tell you the relationship in a second.
Incredible.
No one knows who he is. I mean, I'm sure Satin's beard barber is going to pretend he knows who he is, but he is. I am told he is a legit cousin of Nick Khan.
Incredible.
That is what
awesome. Yeah, because they're like, DJ Valentino, whatever the fuck, is going to be spinning top hits for everybody, and you go and look, and the dude's got an okay amount of Twitter followers, but certainly not like it's closer to the Ali J thing than like the Bad Bunny thing. You know what I mean? Like the Bad Bunny thing, you can make a legit claim. Okay, there's a certain and we had the conversation about Bad Bunny at the time that hey, media is a little bit different now, but like whereas I have never heard Bad Bunny and I don't need to ever hear Bad Bunny because I can kind of live in my own silo of media or whatever. But at least you and I both we're well enough to say hey, Bad Bunny is obviously a big star. He just doesn't hit he doesn't really quite hit our, bubble or our whatever. This dude has like 50,000 Twitter followers. You know what I mean? Like he is absolutely completely irrelevant. He is he is no different than like a local DJ. That's it. There is nothing that separates this guy from your local DJ other than that he's Nick Khan's cousin. So good for him.
Yeah. And I think that, again, they're telling us in the chat room that night one crossed over into 60,000 again. You can't crush them for drawing 110,000 people or whatever it's going to be. Now, I know that's tickets out, but still, it's an enormous amount of tickets sold. But
right now, night 2, 58,000. Just wanted to, I did get that from WrestleTix. That is as of a couple days ago. So I'm sure they've sold a little bit more, but still 5,000 tickets available. They're only making the building for 64,000. Which again, 64,000 back-to-back nights. That's solid as hell. I mean,
it's a lot of fucking people.
Yeah.
But there's no doubt they wanted to fill it. That's why they've gone all these lengths. So, but then it's like we've also been saying for years. WrestleMania is not a wrestling show for wrestling fans. It hasn't been for a long time. They want it to be a spectacle, and they want it to be a media event that breaks into the mainstream consciousness. I don't think they have really succeeded in that in the last few years. I don't think pop culture gives a shit about WrestleMania this year. I don't think pop culture has given a shit about WrestleMania since probably the Attitude Era. And then before that, maybe WrestleMania 3 and WrestleMania 4. But that's what they want, and that's why they do this. And, if you're a hardcore wrestling fan, I mean, if you want to enjoy this show, you have to approach it from that standpoint. They don't give a shit about storytelling anymore, or good booking, or putting great matches on. You're getting your celebrities, you're getting your part-timers, and you're getting, they're trying to produce a spectacle for someone who isn't you. They spend a lot of their time trying to impress everyone else but their core audience. And now a lot of their core audience will enjoy a lot of this stuff. Don't get me wrong. I look at the Sami Zayn stuff and it's so cringe to me. Like I don't, that would never appeal to me. This Johnny Knoxville, Sami Zayn stuff with the, and I'm sure there's people who think it's hilarious. And I'm sure there's people who think it's super entertaining that Sami Zayn is in Knoxville, Tennessee doing, Johnny Knoxville jokes and yucking it up. And I have no interest whatsoever in any of that. I don't find it interesting. I don't care about. Okay, let me ask you this, Rich Craig. Am I being a grumpy asshole if I tell you I don't give a fuck about Stone Cold Steve Austin?
You're not. No. And I don't know if you listen to No, I mean I'm right with you. And I think Suit and I did a great job a couple weeks ago laying out just how ludicrous this excitement over Stone Cold Steve Austin is, because okay, WWE is pretending that this is going to be a wrestling match. You know what I mean? They're pretending that
they
Kevin Owens
wanted to be one. So.
Right. And I'm sure they pitched it to Stone Cold, and I'm sure Stone Cold, who has been very protective of ever coming back. I mean, all these other guys, the first Saudi check they could see, they were back, from retirement. Shawn Michaels did it right away. Undertaker did it right away. All the guys over and over and over again will take that check immediately and go. Bill Goldberg numerous times over. Those guys will take whatever check they can get and say, yeah, fuck it, I'm good. Christian, Edge, both two guys that were told, hey, you're never going to wrestle again. Daniel Bryan, told they'll never wrestle again. And those guys all kind of worked to get back in one way or another. Stone Cold has not done that yet in terms of an actual taking bumps, wrestling match, that sort of stuff. WWE is trying to pretend that this is his comeback, and their PR, aka a lot of wrestling media, is going with the assumption, hey, this is Stone Cold's first wrestling match, or he's returning to the ring for the first time since XXX or whatever, since WrestleMania 21 or what the hell WrestleMania was it that he was at 19, the first time since WrestleMania 19 that Stone Cold and it's like, dude, guys, like, he's not wrestling. He's not doing anything different than he's done at multiple WrestleManias, time and time again. The last time they were in Dallas, the last time they were at this stadium, he came out and stunned a bunch of guys and confronted people. The first pandemic Raw, he came out and stunned a bunch of guys. The Raw 25, he came out and stunned a bunch of guys. Raw 1000, he came out and stunned a bunch of guys. He's done this numerous times over the last decade, not even including his entire era as an on-screen character after he had retired from in the ring. Like, he was there for years and years and years and years doing stuff. His podcast is sponsored and advertised constantly on the air and on WWE, and you're watching it. It's on WWE Network. It's on Peacock, and they're talking about it, and he's there all the time. And why would you be excited about Stone Cold Steve? What earth do you live on where you are like, whoa, Stone Cold Steve Austin? Like, I love Stone Cold. Stone Cold's one of my favorite wrestlers ever. Like, he's great, but like, I've gotten my fill of Stone Cold over the last 2 decades. He hasn't left. This isn't a new and unique thing that they're doing. And it's even less new and unique because he's done this at WrestleMania in recent memories, in recent years. You don't have to go far back. You don't have to go back to WrestleMania 19. You have to go back to a couple Manias ago where he did this exact same thing. Gets in the ring, talks, stuns a guy. I mean, this is not anything new or different or unique. So no, you're not a curmudgeon by saying, I don't really give a shit. Because why should you give a shit? How could you give a shit? Unless you're only the goldfish booking that, we talk about with WWE, where they just pretend that something didn't happen because they don't want you to think about it for half a second, and you're a fucking goldfish and you can't think about it. Those are the only people that would get excited about Stone Cold coming back, because he's been back. He hasn't gone away. Like, there's no reason to get excited about this. And I'm getting enraged when I see that, whoa, Stone Cold's making his return since WrestleMania 19. Are you fucking out of your mind? What are you talking about? What are you doing?
What if they were advertising a match and he was guaranteed to wrestle? Would you be interested?
No, because he hasn't left. Like, if he literally truly left WrestleMania 19 and we never saw him again, maybe. But no, I don't care. I'm not that type of guy. There's a lot of people that fucking love old people, guys. I'm not that interested in that.
Listen, no one can say we're not consistent because how many KG Muto rants have we gone on?
Right. I want to see the next generation of guys. What gets me excited about pro wrestling is when you told me in 2012, there's this guy in New Japan called Okada. He's getting on the ground floor of this guy right now because this is going to be big. That excites me about wrestling. What excites me about WrestleMania weekend is seeing guys I've never seen before. Guys that are really young, guys that are 20 years old or whatever. Will Ospreay a couple years ago. We're going to talk about Will Ospreay here later in the show when we talk about the New Japan Cup. We were guys that were watching him when he was still skinny flippy-do guy doing both. That's what excites me about wrestling. That's what it would excite me about a match at WrestleMania is we're pushing this person that's never been pushed before and they're going to get this huge spot that they, and they're going to move up the ladder, yada, yada. I don't really give a shit about seeing Stone Cold. I don't give a shit about seeing The Rock. I don't need to see Shawn Michaels. I don't need to see The Undertaker. Some people live for that stuff. It's just not me. It's never been me, and I don't care and I don't want it. Like I want to move forward in wrestling. I want to know what the next big thing is. What's the next thing? Get me excited about the next generation of wrestling. I'm good on the Attitude Era, man. I've seen that stuff. I lived it real time. I've done it time and time again. Those guys haven't gone away. They've been there forever. I cannot even fathom who would be excited about this, but there are people. There are just the idea of Stone Cold being there excites some people, and I will never get it. I will never understand it.
I mean, they felt it would draw because they pulled that, the tickets weren't moving to the levels that they wanted, and that was one of the things that they figured would help, and it has. So from that standpoint, but no, I cannot get into Stone Cold doing some kind of segment with Kevin Owens which ends with a stunner, and maybe they'll brawl around the ring or something. I can't. I'm not into that either. I mean, I'll differ with you somewhat. If they were guaranteeing that he's going to do a match, I would have curiosity about that to see if he can still go. But because he hasn't wrestled in so long, but kind of like when they brought Sting in, right? And it's like when he had his first real match, there was some curiosity there. All right, let's see if Sting could still go. And it turned out that the way that they use him and the way that they protect him, he can go, for what they ask him to do. So I would have curiosity to see if he can go, but in general, yeah, it's not any kind of special draw for me. I'm not looking forward to seeing Stone Cold come out and confront Kevin Owens. Does nothing for me.
Yeah.
And they're advertising that as the main event of one of the nights now, correct?
I believe so, yes. Let me figure out.
Not the Brock Roman night, obviously.
Yeah. So I think it would be night one. Or sorry, not WrestleMania Saturday. It would be WrestleMania Saturday. That would.
But I just want to know if we're being grumpy, cynical, anti-WWE assholes because we don't want to see Stone Cold.
Yeah, probably. I mean, people will probably think that when they're. But yeah, I'm consistent. Like like you said, I'll make the same rant about Keiji Muto. I'll make the same rant about Fujita. I'll make the same rant about everybody. There's a time and a place where like in older, and I'm not saying that I don't want any older wrestlers in wrestling. That's obviously not what I'm saying. There's a time and a place for it. There's situations where I think it's really cool and I think it's done well, but. Yeah, there's a lot of times
coming
when it's
out
just,
to confront Kevin Owens is like
that's low on the list. Yeah, I cannot possibly care about that. Yeah, I can't.
We've seen him do it on Raw a million times.
Right.
We've seen him do it at WrestleMania, as you've pointed out, pay-per-views. I'm with you, but all right. So I can't talk you into Stone Cold.
No, I'm sorry. That's not going to work. Yeah, that's not going to work.
Is the Johnny Knoxville thing with Sami Zayn as uninteresting to you as it is to me?
Yeah. Who could possibly? And I like Johnny Knoxville. And I like Sami Zayn. Why would I care? Too. Why would I care about this? I don't care.
How can you? I mean, I don't understand what the appeal is. I don't. I mean, I guess I do understand, but I really don't. I don't understand what the appeal is.
I don't. I just like pro wrestling. You know what I mean? I just like wrestling. I'm sorry. I just like Zack Sabre Jr. and Will Ospreay going out there for 20 minutes and beating the fuck out of each other and telling a story in the wrestling ring. Fucking sue me. You know what I mean? I'm sorry. That's what I like when I watch pro wrestling is guys wrestling. How dare I? You know what I mean?
What if WWE was better booked and cohesive and sprinkled in this stuff instead of it being the focus of both nights?
Sure. Yeah. Okay.
Pat McAfee's going to wrestle Austin Theory. We presume Vince McMahon will be involved in some form or fashion. Pat McAfee was very good in the couple of matches that he wrestled in NXT. Austin Theory is very good. I mean, I think it could be a good match, but I don't know. I'm not like this one doesn't. I'm not like this one. I'm kind of into as much as I could be into something in this company because I know that Pat McAfee is like legitimate and he can do this. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah. And you, the thing that's got me about that is that you do know that Vince is probably going to get involved in some way. You know what I mean? Like and that I guess has a little bit of interest in seeing just what the hell they can do with Vince McMahon at this age, at his body, and the way, you know, that I guess I have some perverse interest in seeing that. And yeah, McAfee's going to bust his ass, and it's a big spot for Theory. So yeah, I mean, I guess I'm not like, you know, it's not anything I'm not canceling my trip to Alaska to see McAfee and Austin Theory, I'll tell you that. But I get it. I do get how that one has a little modicum of interest for me. Modicum, okay, very small.
Well, what about Brock and Roman unifying the titles? Roman hasn't lost to anyone.
Yeah.
They have attempted to tell a story since Brock has returned with this, and, you know, Roman gets COVID or whatever it was, so Brock wins his title at day one. And then they do the whole Paul Heyman story. We don't have to rehash it all. Everyone knows what the story is. You know, where Heyman is, you know, allegedly playing both sides, but it turns out he was on Roman's side all along. And now again, I'm looking for silver linings, and I'm trying to find some kind of appreciation for shows that we're not pumped about at all. Do they get some credit for at least booking a decent story here and building up a match that, to me, does legitimately feel like the biggest match on either show? And
for sure. Yeah, no, and it feels like the one match, like it feels like a wrestling match. You know what I mean? It feels like a build to a WrestleMania wrestling match, and yeah, that at least has me interested, because they've protected Roman as much as they have, and because they protected Brock as much as they can. And as we've seen on WrestleManias, you know, I alluded to it a little bit earlier. We saw at the WrestleMania in New Orleans, and everybody assumed, oh, well, shit, well, Roman Reigns is definitely beating Brock Lesnar for this title. And then, like, the day of the show, they were just like, fuck it, Brock's going to beat Roman. And everyone's like, what? Excuse me? And so you have no idea where this is going to go. Like, I legitimately have no idea. I assume that Roman's going to win, but I can't say that for sure. And there's stories to be told with either guy winning. So no, I will give them credit on this. These are the two dudes. Like, these are the guys that they care about more than anybody else in that company. And it shows, obviously. But yeah, these are two guys that have been protected. They've won all their matches. They win every time they're in the ring. They're the big-time champions. They're the big-time stars. They're going to be in the main event of the final thing of WrestleMania weekend. So yeah, I mean, there's definitely an interest in that, because it's legit. It's a wrestling match. It's a wrestling build. And like, I don't know how good it's going to be. These guys have either had really, really good matches or really bad matches in the past. I have no idea which way it's going to go, but like, no, I'm definitely interested in it, because how could you not? I mean, this entire company has basically revolved around these two men for years and years or whatever. So like, unless you're completely 100% checked out of the company or whatever, you got to at least be interested in this, because they've kind of made you interested in it, because this is all they've cared about for years upon years is this match, this moment, this time. So yeah, no, I do want to see what happens in it. I don't know if I'm super excited about seeing what the wrestling is going to be like, but again, these guys have had great matches in the past, so maybe.
I'll be into what they decide to do with the finish with that. I'll be into that. I'm looking at these shows and there's nothing else I'm into at all.
You gotta really.
I'm just being honest.
It's
RK Bro versus the Street Profits versus Alpha Academy. Now, RK Bro is over with their fan base.
Yes.
That can't be denied. But I don't give a shit. I mean, that might even be a good match. I don't know. But I don't care about any of that. And then they're doing a 4-way because they had to shoehorn everybody onto the show, which I hate. You know I hate that. For the women's tag team titles, Zelina and Carmella. And then it's Sasha Banks and Naomi, Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan, and Natalya and Shayna Baszler. I think it's so fucking funny that still to this day, Sasha Banks is a bigger television draw than Roman Reigns.
Just this last week, she popped a number on SmackDown.
Thank you. Just this past week.
You look at the chart and you go, whoa, what was that? And it's Sasha Banks. It's always, every time you look at a rating sheet from Brandon Thurston and you go, whoa, what was that on like the random, middle of the hour? It's always Sasha Banks. It's always.
Just this past week, the biggest quarter hour on the show.
Yeah.
And it's always that way. The study I did, everything. It's Sasha. And she gets buried in this completely meaningless 4-way women's tag that nobody cares about. No one cares. And doesn't get the push that matches the level that she's over. She's arguably the most over person in the company. I don't know if that's, but you could argue it. And they do nothing. This match, it stinks. You know her fans aren't happy about it.
Oh, God, how could you? Yeah, I mean, chart it back to last year's WrestleMania. I mean, she comes into last year's WrestleMania as the champion, has a really, really good match against Bianca Belair, and we're a year out now. What has she done in that year? She's done absolutely nothing. You can't waste an entire year of somebody that's that big of a star and that popular. And that good.
Charlotte, Becky, and Ronda get the spots.
Yeah.
And I don't, Ronda, I understand. Charlotte, I don't. I mean, we know why, but I don't get it. Becky, I understand to some degree, but I don't understand how you ice out Sasha.
No.
So that's, we touched on every night too. I guess that's a good transition to night one.
You mean WrestleMania Sunday, Joe?
Oh.
What's this night one, night two shit you're talking about? It's WrestleMania Saturday and WrestleMania Sunday. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not WrestleMania 38 Night 2 or WrestleMania 38 Night 1 or WrestleMania Season 38 Episode 1 or, WrestleMania Season 38 Episode 2. No, WrestleMania Saturday and WrestleMania Sunday. It's the most stupendous two-night WrestleMania in history, Joe.
Are these separate pay-per-view purchases?
Ooh, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know about traditional pay-per-view. Probably, yeah. I'd imagine, right?
May as well be. I mean, I'd do it that way. I'd do a package with like $5 off or something. So yeah, then WrestleMania Saturday.
Thank you.
Becky Lynch, Bianca Belair. And it's like, even if Bianca wins, I don't know where you stand. I don't buy it and I don't care. They had a chance to hook me with Bianca. And they told me definitively how they felt about her and where they see her. And her winning this match doesn't mean anything. She won last year at WrestleMania.
Right. You can pretend that this is a moment when she wins again, and everybody will say, "Oh, what a moment!" We'll do this. We'll do the exact same thing. People could just recycle their tweets from April 11th or whatever, last year, April 10th or April 11th, whatever it was. They could just recycle the exact same tweets over and over again, and they probably will. And the same stuff. Oh, they made a star today. They made what a moment. Okay, now they can really go the next level with Bianca Belair. There was nothing stopping them from doing that last year. And they should have done it last year. I came on the show and said they should do something with her, but they won't. They will spend the entire year fucking up, tripping over their own dicks on this thing instead of just pushing somebody who could be a potential star. And now we're going to do it again, and people will again pretend that it means something, but it really doesn't. It didn't mean anything for business last year. It didn't mean anything substantial, and they couldn't wait to get the title off of her when she got it last year. And the same thing is going to happen this year, too. She's probably going to beat Becky Lynch, and people are going to buy it into it and pretend that, oh, here we go. Now it's a star-making performance. And you know what? Maybe it will be. But I'm not betting on it, Joe, because it is World Wrestling Entertainment. So I am not betting on that. So you can do it again. You can do the same song and dance you did last year. But just remember where you were last year. Remember your same thoughts you had last year. Those same things can come up again. I mean, yeah, maybe they right the wrong. Maybe they figure it out and go, okay, she's, now we're going to push her to the moon. But God, how could you possibly have faith in that happening? How could you possibly?
No, it's they burn you too many times, and the way she was booked in the aftermath was not good. We pointed it out. People told us we're crazy. We turned out to be right. And then when the real star came back at SummerSlam with bright flashing neon lights, they told you where they stood with Bianca Belair, which was that she's not on that level. So yeah, she's in a big time match again this year, but why would I trust you now? Like, especially this company that has burned people consistently, burned fans over and over for so many years. So I don't. They have to earn that trust back and show me that they mean it.
And I don't think it's a lock that she wins either. I mean, I think there is a potential. I mean, I would probably bet, if I was betting on it, I'd probably bet Bianca to win, but I don't think it's impossible that Becky wins.
And even if she does win and they give her an earnest push, it's like, how many fans aren't going to trust it or not care because of the way she's been booked over the last year?
Yeah.
Meaning not on the level of the real stars.
Yeah, once Ronda comes to town, once Charlotte comes to town, when Becky comes to town, then she gets very similar to Sasha. You could put down a rung. Yeah. Those are the stars, and you're a nice little placeholder. You're nice to kind of take up the time. And again, that's not how I would treat her. And people get mad at us like that. I'm telling you, I would push her. You said from the moment you saw her in NXT that you'd push her as a superstar. We said the same thing about Sasha. Like Sasha has business metrics that show that she could be a star and that she is a star. That she is a draw and all that sort of stuff. We're not saying from our standpoint. We're just saying from their standpoint and how they book people and how they treat people. So yeah, you can buy into this is a star making performance for Bianca all you want. That's fine. I'm going to be sitting on the sideline saying, well, here we go again, because And I'm probably going to be right, Joe. I think there's a very good chance that I'm going to be right because I have history on my side and you have, I don't know.
Yeah,
You just forgot what happened last year. I don't know. Yeah, it's okay. Go ahead. Buy into this all over again. Repeat the tweets all over again. Let's do it. So
I saw Bianca from literally day one, and it's they come close and then they yank it because they still see her at that level, and then it all happened again with Big E. And we tried to tell people, look at the booking. The booking never lies. The booking tells no lies. And Big E was never a real champion, and they never gave him a chance. It's a shame because you can't get that first time. There's only one first time, and that makes an impression on the fans, and you're telling the fans what you think of these champions when you blow it that first time around. So same thing. This is why I don't trust her. I don't care whether she wins or not. And you're right, she might not win, but if she wins, I don't buy it. When she won last year, we said this is great, but be skeptical.
Yeah.
Keep arm's length with this and then look what happened. So she's getting kicked in the gut and beaten in 7 seconds. And you're right. People will say, "Oh, what a great story! They told a story." No, it's a bad story. It's a bad story.
It's a bad story, yes. I have a series at the Flagship Patreon about a very bad story they told about Daniel Bryan. It took him 2 years to tell that story, and I'm not going to give him fucking credit for it. Yeah, it's the same thing. Just because in the end the result is what it is does not mean it's a good story. We have this weird fallacy. We have this thing with wrestling where it's at the bottom of the barrel of what people, their acceptable, entertainment levels of things are. So people will say, "Oh, it's a good story." You get that in matches all the time. You get it in stories they do. It's not a good story. Just even if the end is the way you want it to be, that doesn't make it a good story. Like, just because you look at the beginning, oh, Bianca, lost to Becky, and then she beat Becky. Yeah, there you go. No, it doesn't make it a good story, and it doesn't make it a sustainable story. It doesn't make it a story that's going to make Bianca Belair a star. Like, nothing that has happened last year is going to help her become a bigger deal than she was, or she could have been last year.
Now you're fighting against your own bad booking if you want to get her there.
Right.
Because now you've wasted a year. And you wasted the first time, the big moment last year when she beat Sasha. You wasted that, and you wasted the entire year. Which brings us to Charlotte and Ronda. I mean, we talked about it. You bring in Ronda, she's got to get a top spot. Why Charlotte instead of Sasha? I don't know. I mean, I know, but not what I would do. She doesn't have the track record that Sasha has as a draw. But they see her as a bigger star than Sasha. So this is what you get. If they could have found a way to resist putting Becky Lynch in the main event in New York 3 years ago or whatever it was, and just had Charlotte Ronda, they would have done that.
Oh, for sure. And they wanted to, and they really tried. They really tried hard to do that.
But Becky was an undeniable force, and they had to do it, and they shoehorned Charlotte in. So, enjoy.
Literally zero interest in seeing Charlotte and Ronda, and that sucks because I was a huge fan of Ronda in the first go around, and I thought there was gravitas when she came in. This whole run has felt very weird and very cold. Like that, this is not hitting the same way it did a couple years ago. I mean, she came into WWE a couple years ago, and the numbers, the metrics, everything just. It rose. Like, people can lie and say, "Oh no, it was the women's revolution." No, it was Ronda Rousey came in, and the water level of the entire women's division in that company, the water level of the entire company just rose because she was that big of a star at that time. She was fresh off UFC, fresh off becoming a big time star, fresh off Sports Illustrated covers, fresh off all that sort of stuff. She was still on the top of mind of people, but this time away, I mean, she's there now, and like. Do you have a similar vibe as me? Like, she does not have that same sort of feel. Like, I don't see this. The buzz, for this outside of the wrestling circle is non-existent this year.
Completely non-existent. At all. Doesn't feel special at all. It doesn't. How about Edge on his stool talking about AJ Styles?
God, this fucking dork. This dork. Oh my God. This dork. I can't believe it.
Man.
I feel like he's a listener of the show now, and he's just trolling us.
Is there anyone who seemingly is over like crazy and then doesn't move the needle at all? And it's like
literally never moves the needle.
How does that happen? Like, it seems like he's the most over guy.
Yeah,
like,
that music hits and 19,000 people go nuts, but then literally nobody watches the show he's on. It's
everyone says his promos are these masterpieces, and it's just a promo style that I can't stand. I think they stink. It doesn't come off authentic at all.
What's not authentic about a guy sitting on a stool with blue lights around him? Are you kidding? Come on.
How do you listen to CM Punk and Eddie Kingston cut promos and then listen to this dork and be entertained by it at all? I mean, it's just so performative, and just be you, man. Just go out there and be you and cut a promo, dig deep in your soul and find some slice of reality that you can convey. That's the way all the great promo guys used to do it. You know, we just saw Punk and MJF do that. That's how Mick Foley used to do it. Okay? Mick Foley didn't go to acting class and learn how to make weird faces and cut scripted verbiage. Like, it's so corny.
It's so brutal. It is absolutely brutal. Yeah. And it's very strange because, like you said, you'll go on Twitter or whatever, and it's just like, oh my God, what a promo by this guy! Like, another amazing performance, and it never moves the needle. Nobody ever talks. The minute Raw's over, nobody talks about it ever again. No ratings go up. Nothing goes up. There's no business metrics that prove that this guy's a star. Whatever. I mean, it's almost the exact opposite of it as well. And yeah, I just can't. Like you said, I don't understand how you could hear an Eddie Kingston promo and then hear an Edge promo and then go, yeah, okay, this Edge promo is pretty solid, man. This is great. This is what I want. Like, it's so weird. And Joe, he tried to be himself, but the fans didn't accept him when he was himself. You know what I mean? It's their fault that he wasn't himself. So now he has to be whatever this is now. So yeah, literally 0 inches in Edge versus AJ Styles. Could not possibly be less.
And the half effort WWE AJ Styles, no thanks. Usos.
Imagine caring about this match. Imagine, like, just for a second, Joe. Try in earnest. I want you to try in earnest. I'm going to say this, Joe, and I want you to sell me in. The Usos defending the SmackDown Tag Team titles against Shinsuke Nakamura and Rick Boogs. Joe, sell me on this match.
Boogs. I don't know. I mean, he says Boogs funny.
Yeah.
I mean,
McAfee will go do his dance on the table, and everyone will go, "Oh, get down! What are you doing?"
How off-putting and annoying is Pat McAfee
so
on commentary? McAfee. I mean, really, he's one of the most annoying commentators in the history of wrestling. There's people who enjoy it. I don't know. I can't stand McAfee on commentary. Like, there was so much potential there. But like everything else in this company, they want you to turn up your worst instincts to 11, and he does, and it's what the boss wants. It's what some of their mutant fans seem to enjoy. So, I mean, it's just one of the things that's like it makes SmackDown so hard to watch is Pat McAfee's commentary. I mean, he's really bad. But I guess it fits the product in a weird way.
It's annoying and awful, and I never want to see it ever again. So yeah, it definitely fits World Wrestling Entertainment to a T, for sure.
Yeah. But I mean, I don't know. That's a SmackDown match. I don't know.
Like, imagine caring about that. Imagine sitting down at WrestleMania Saturday and being like, "Oh boy, here we go." You know, they say "ding, ding, ding," and they show the SmackDown Tag Team titles on the screen. You go, "All right, here we go." It's Boogs and Nakamura versus the Usos. You know what I mean? Like, who is that human? Who is that person that goes, "All right"? You know, they sit back in their recliner and go, "Oh, here we go." You know, like who is this person? I better make sure I got all my snacks ready. I don't want to miss a minute of this. So, Boogs and Nakamura versus the Usos. What are we doing?
It's just a match. I mean, I don't know.
Jesus
Christ. Drew McIntyre, this poor guy. I mean, he's champion through the pandemic.
Did we not call this the whole pandemic?
Of course, Rich, we call all of this.
It so sucks. It sucks that we're right as often as we are. There was somebody, I forget who it was. I apologize. In our Discord that says, "Oh, I wish, you guys would go back and clip, times when you were right so you can dunk on people." And I said, I don't have enough time in the day to do that. We're always right. Like, it's just, it'd be the whole show. Company? Just go back and listen to an old show and then listen to it and then we'll be right. Like, you just pick a random show from a random era anytime in our last 10 years and we're right about everything. Just listen to it. Why am I going to clip it?
Here's the listener challenge. I'll tell you what the clip last year's WrestleMania review where we talked about Bianca Belair and Beware. The SummerSlam review, where we talked about how ridiculous it was that Bianca lost in 7 seconds. Clip my solo show when Rich was on vacation after Big E won the title. And based on 1 week worth of booking, I told you exactly how that would play out. Go clip Drew McIntyre after he won the title in the middle of the pandemic. And where Rich and I told you exactly how that would play out. Brock would come back. These guys would come back. And Drew would be back in the mid-card. Poor guy, working his ass off. We're right about everything, always.
Especially with this company. Yeah, like especially this company. Some companies will throw us for a loop. Nothing in WWE throws us for a loop anymore. Nothing. We have watched. We are dumb as fuck and have watched this company for most of our lives. All of my adult life and all of my youth, I've watched this stupid company. You as well. So we know this shit like the back of our hand. We know Vince McMahon like the back of our hand. We know this stuff. Trust us when we say this. Please. I'm begging you. Just listen to us once, please.
And here he is. Against Happy Corbin.
Happy Corbin. He'll be with Madcap Moss and probably Butch as well. So you were on vacation during the Butch era. So
yeah. Butch. Yeah. Good God.
It was like, again, like I feel like they do a lot of stuff to troll us. Like the week that I wrote about Tyler Bate and how, he just turned 25 and how they wasted all of Tyler Bate's life or whatever. And then I also talked about, hey, Pete Dunne, really great wrestler too. That's pretty much not doing anything. And then they give us Butch. Like 2 days later, they gave us Butch. It's like they handed it to me on a platter. All I had to do was say, here you go. Here's the article I just wrote 2 days ago. And now he's Butch. There you go. So he's got suspenders. He's got a little duster cap. So, Butch.
Yeah. I mean,
Butch.
Look, to be fair, I was very skeptical that Drew McIntyre would ever be a true top guy, not because I didn't believe they were going to give him an honest chance, but also because I just don't think he has it in him to be a true top guy. I think, but the point is, we knew they would abandon it. That's the point. Whether it was because they lost faith in him legitimately or illegitimately, the point is we knew they would eventually lose faith in him.
Right.
And he's lost in the shuffle. And
it especially sucks too, because like you said, not only was he given that chance to do stuff during the pandemic, but he was really good too. Like that, he was the MVP of that company throughout the pandemic. He was great. He was having great matches. He was carrying the, and we said like, man, and there's people saying, well, this guy may have made himself into a star. And we're like, nah, that's not going to matter. Because the second the big guys come back, the second the real stars come back, he's going to be pushed down to the, and there was part of you that said, well, man, he's really grabbed this brass ring. You know what I mean? The hypothetical brass ring. This guy's really busted his ass and really become the MVP. And what did it get him? It got him exactly what we said was going to get him. And the hard work for an entire year meant absolutely nothing. He got a token run with the title. He got to be the head of the company during, unprecedented times or whatever. And then the second the stars wanted to come back, the second the guys were willing to work again, he's facing Happy Corbin in the middle of WrestleMania Saturday. So
because Brock pieced out and Roman was immunocompromised and not around, and he got the ball. And look, I don't think he's ever been over to the level of the top guy, but that's immaterial to this conversation. We just knew this was going to happen regardless.
Right. Even if he was, I don't think
this is where he'd be. It wouldn't matter. Exactly. Correct. This is right where he'd be in a mid-card match against Happy Corbin. Well, Dominic's got a spot on WrestleMania.
I was going to say, do you care about this? You got to care about Dominic this time.
Well, what's the match? Let me hear the match, and maybe I'll...
Okay. I'm going to try to sell you on this. Okay.
Yeah.
It's Rey Mysterio and Dominic Mysterio.
Right.
Versus The Miz, Mike Mizanin, and Logan Paul.
Logan Paul. Yeah. We didn't even talk about him. Big boxing draw, the Pauls. Right.
Get out of here. He's wrestling. WrestleMania Sunday or Saturday. Get out of here.
Thank God we're missing.
Well, there you go. There's one less pay-per-view buy. An anti-draw, Logan Paul. Their boxing matches have stopped drawing now, by the way, too.
Oh, have they? I haven't noticed that. Yeah, I haven't been following the boxing draws. They're pretty much done. Well, they've kind of petered out on like the actual like the top boxing stars that are willing to face these guys, right? Because like now your top dudes are just not.
Well, it's never tops. It's like they were always carefully selected opponents that they felt they could draw money with.
Right.
I don't even have a problem with that. Like, I think that's fun.
No, that's good. That's smart business. Yeah, they made a shit ton of money doing it.
I like that freak show stuff. I like that. But anyway, I forgot he was on this card until we got to this match. So they have so many outsiders and part-timers and celebrities that you forget which ones.
Yeah, they've overloaded it on the show. Yeah, they have really, truly. I'm sure
they're desperate. Look, they don't believe in their people to draw. And why would they? Have you seen the house shows? They're still struggling mightily in MSG. They had to promote a house show as meaningful and push it hard on TV for weeks just to get MSG half filled and then brag about it. That's where we are now. Their crew doesn't draw.
They used to run that building weekly.
We're to the point where people, where they do like 9,000 sold in MSG, and there's people on Twitter who are like, decent crowd. It's like that'd be panic button time.
That's that Bruno build.
Like
9,000?
any other era, and that's with loading it up with Brock, and then go back to December where they almost set the all-time low that was set by Gorgeous George in the fucking 40s, and they had to load it up first with Roman, and then he sold 400 fucking tickets and made no difference, and then Cena, and then then they paper it to get 13,000 people in the place, and they send out a tweet bragging about it, calling it a sellout. When it was like 11,000 sold and, whatever it was. I don't even remember anymore. And now this past debacle, this is like 3 straight debacles at MSG. And, and that proves that, people would say that we're crazy. Oh, Vince doesn't care because he doesn't care about house shows.
Oh my God, he cares about that show. Are you kidding?
Look how they treated the last MSG
When else
show.
have they talked about house shows on television? They were talking about this house show every second they could on television. It meant for no reason. How many people that were actually watching, when the actual percentage of people that were watching would have cared one lick about that show in MSG, a house show in MSG on a Friday night or whatever the hell it was. I don't remember when it was.
Because Vince is tired of that building dying.
Yes, he cares so much about that building. Get out of here if you think he
loads
doesn't.
It up each time. He's not loading up Des Moines, Iowa. Okay? They're not doing this in fucking Sheboygan. They're doing it in MSG every time now, either loading it up or this time making it out like it was a special show. And then they under-delivered with Austin Theory in the main event. Now, to be fair, a lot of people who were there came away from that show saying they enjoyed themselves. But that core 9,000 people who are still buying tickets are going to eat up anything you do. It's like, if they would have delivered a real surprise instead of Austin Theory and a little angle in the aftermath, then maybe the people who don't buy tickets to MSG anymore would have said, oh, maybe I need to start going to MSG again. Because whoever the fuck showed up and wrestled Brock Lesnar or Roman or whatever it was, Brock, so they did their little angle, and a lot of reviews came back. Oh, it kind of felt like a TV show, but, people were disappointed with Austin Theory. Some people left, but the people who stayed liked it. It's just, the point here is the sheer desperation now every time they go to MSG, when inevitably the ticket sales are flat. They've got like 4,000 sold, and then they load it up.
Yeah.
And then they barely fill half the building. And my greater point here is they don't trust their own crew to sell tickets because their own crew struggles to sell tickets. There's some SmackDowns that do well. There's the occasional Raw that does well. Most of these TVs struggle to fill half of these basketball arenas, and the house shows are a total mixed bag, leaning towards most of them are bad in terms of ticket sales. So that's why you get Logan Paul and Brock Lesnar and go right down the line. Ronda Rousey, Johnny Knoxville, fucking whoever the fuck.
Yeah, a desperate attempt to get, buzz in the media and buzz and outside of the wrestling sphere or whatever. And I get it. I get the effort.
It's a self-fulfilled prophecy, though. It's their fault that their own wrestlers can't draw.
Right.
It's their own fault that they're worried that their own wrestlers are only, and again, it's going to be 2 huge houses, are only going to fit 40 or 50,000 people in those buildings each night, which are still tremendous houses. But that they wanted 100. And don't let anyone tell you that wasn't the case. And they're not going to even sniff it. But, they're going to make $1 gajillion and probably break all kinds of records, no doubt about it. So you can't be too hard on it. I don't know where you stand. I can't beat it up that much when you're putting 60,000.
No. I think
it's what they had to do to get there.
Right. Yeah, it's no. I mean, in any case, like you said, they booked these nights in that arena because they wanted to get 100,000 people. Don't make it seem like, there are people, that will say, oh, well, they only made it for 65,000 or whatever. You don't think if they had 40,000 more people that wanted to pay them money, they wouldn't find a spot for them in the fucking Jerry Dome? Like, they'd find a spot for them. Trust me. They'd tighten up that, the entrance a little bit. They'll do it. They will get to 90,000 if they're willing to do it. But they clearly,
the setup was 60 because they opened up tickets and sold 20.
Exactly. Right. So yeah, don't let that.
If they opened up tickets and sold 60, it'd be open for 90.
Right. So yeah, don't fool yourself into thinking that that's what they want. Oh, we got exactly what we wanted. No, they would gladly take another 30,000 people buying tickets to the show, but it's not going to happen. But no, it's a very strange WrestleMania in this sense. It does not feel like a wrestling show in the same sense, because like you said, it's so loaded up with celebrities, it's so loaded up with sideshows, it's loaded up with this Stone Cold thing, and there's very few like I said, the reason I'm excited about Brock and Roman is it's like it's an actual wrestling match that's been built up like a wrestling match. You know what I mean? There hasn't been, it's just two dudes that are going to fight for a title, and they've been very protected. They don't lose. So yeah, like I'm excited for that, but there's nothing else. I mean, there's nothing else on these shows that has me even a modicum of interest. And it's pretty wild. Like I don't think I can ever find a WrestleMania that would be like that ever. I really don't. I truly do not think I can think of a WrestleMania in my life, or at least as of us doing this show, that we've previewed out here and said, hey, there's nothing I'm looking forward to. I mean, there's always been something, and this is a night that I'm just, I'm dreading having to watch it, and that's not usually. If you look for it, every day has a call for celebration. Celebrate a friend for their promotion, baby, wedding, life thing. Celebrate yourself for keeping the couch warm. It's no easy feat, especially if it's a big couch. Or maybe you just want to celebrate living in 2022, where you can get beer, wine, and spirits delivered from Drizzly in under 60 minutes without leaving said couch. Right now, Drizzly is giving all new customers $5 off their first order with code FAST5. So download the Drizzly app or go to drizzly.com, that's DRIZLY.com, and use the promo code FAST5 for $5 off your first order. Drizzly is the most convenient way to buy beer, wine, and spirits with delivery to your doorstep in under 60 minutes. Drizzly is the #1 app for alcohol delivery because the convenience of home delivery. In under 60 minutes, you get it when you need it, and you can conveniently shop across stores, so you can choose from a huge selection of alcohol, wine, spirits, beer, anything you possibly need. Get exactly what you want when you want, and you can also shop across multiple stores to compare prices and find the best deals for what you're looking for. So again, new users to Drizzly are getting, all new customers, every new customer, if you're a brand new customer, you're going to get this no matter what, $5 off your first order with the code FAST5. So you download the Drizzly app or go to drizzly.com, that's DRIZLY.com, and use the promo code FAST5 for $5 off your very first order. Drizzly, the #1 app for alcohol delivery. Again, download the Drizzly app or go to drizzly.com, DRIZLY.com. What I do with WrestleManias. At the end of the day, it's still WrestleMania. You know what I mean? It's still a big deal. It's still kind of a party. Like, I used to have people come over for WrestleManias, for God's sakes. I mean, that's so far in the past. I haven't done that in years, and I'm never going to do it again, especially not with this 2-night thing. So, yeah, I don't know. Maybe we're just crusty curmudgeons and people are excited about this thing, but I don't know. I just can't see it. I can't see how you could be, licking your chops ready to go for the stupendous 2-night WrestleMania. So, I don't know.
I will never care about Dominic, to answer your question.
Damn it.
So, there you go. How can you?
Go.
This guy's like pushing 30, too. Can you stop calling him a...
I know. People pretend like he's 20 years old. Oh, my God. It's great.
He is what he is. He fucking stinks. He's never going to be good. I mean...
So to be fair, he's 24 years old. So that's...
whatever. He stinks.
Pushing... okay. I just want to... Not exactly pushing 30, but, he's getting to 30. But yeah, he still stinks as a 24-year-old. There's a lot of people that are also 24 years old that are really, really good wrestlers, and he's certainly not one of them. So.
When you watch Dominic, there's no sense that there's any kind of ceiling with this guy. He stinks.
No, there's not like overnight he's going to get it. You know what I mean? That's not like... Yeah, it's not like in the next year or so this guy's going to turn into like a refined great worker. That's not happening, so...
There's like 3 or 4 better prospects on every single indie show in the country.
Yes.
Like he just has no upside at all. And I can't imagine why anybody would give a shit about him. So, that's
get into it.
Saturday,
Yeah. All right. If you're not excited,
Saturday.
We'll talk some other WrestleMania stuff. We have the big WrestleMania preview, WrestleMania weekend preview podcast that are coming up next week, as well. Our usual like 3 or 4 part. A giant mega preview that will be up very, very soon. So you'll get that next week before Mania weekend gets kicked off. You and I next week we'll do the Path of Glory as well, the Joe Lanza Path of Glory. So make sure you get that ready to go. So we'll get your perfect path for WrestleMania weekend. Maybe we'll play some games and get some promoters mad at us again too. That's always fun. Yeah,
it's listen, and I guess we didn't mention Seth Rollins whining on TV every week that he's not getting his WrestleMania.
Oh, his path. Yeah, he doesn't have his path to WrestleMania.
I need my path to WrestleMania.
And then Michael Cole goes, Seth Rollins is not going to WrestleMania. He doesn't have a path.
And again, there's people who really enjoy this for some reason. I don't want to hear Seth Rollins screech about anything. It's like, because of their ineptitude of getting this thing done with Cody, I guess it has come to this. Who the fuck knows what's going on with that?
I have no earthly idea. I felt like I had an idea, and now I have no idea. I have no clue.
Listen, nobody knows. And let me tell you something. Don't let anybody tell you they know either, okay? And if they do, they're not getting it from Cody. Super tight-lipped. You ask him a question, he sends back a picture of his adorable baby. He's not telling anybody anything. If people are getting any information internally, then all they're getting is maybe tentative plans that are on the books in case they can get him in there. Look, he's probably coming in at some point. I don't know if it's going to be at WrestleMania. I don't know if it's going to be the day after WrestleMania. I've heard that, but this is a very tightly guarded secret. People are not loose-lipped on this, and we'll see. I mean, if he wants to make a living in pro wrestling, it's really the only place he can go at this point, unless him and Tony both swallow their pride and sit back down, which again, I'm not completely writing off, but I obviously wouldn't bet on it. He'll if he wants to make money in pro wrestling, he's going to have to sign with WWE. Maybe he has, but I don't think anybody knows for sure except for Cody himself and his wife and maybe the, very top officials. Cause there's nothing getting out when it comes to that. We'll see. I mean, that'll be interesting for about a week or two when and if he goes there, but it's WWE and they can't handle doing anything interesting for more than a week. They'll ruin it. And so even if it starts off interesting, they'll ruin it somehow. It'll become not interesting very quickly.
Yeah, well, it'll be interesting by its very nature. Like, I think they can't help but make it interesting when he eventually, but like you said, there's, if you want to take the bet that like long term this guy's going to be a superstar in that company, knock yourself out, man. You can take that bet all you want. I will be I'll be dubious on it, as I am dubious with everything that's not Brock or Roman in that company. So, I
mean, I think they'll give him what they consider a big push,
sure,
to help lure other AEW free agents because he's the test case. How are they going to treat everyone else is watching? How are they going to treat Cody? Because if I don't even know. If I'm Ricky Starks, okay, I'm watching this closely because if they don't give an honest push to Cody, they're not pushing me. You know what I mean? It's like, so if you're a guy like that, if you're Will Hobbs or you're, someone on the come up and your deal comes up and you've got feelers that they're interested in you, Cody's the test case.
Mm-hmm. We talked about it when he left. Like he is, you can't fuck him up. I mean, and earnestly, I don't think they will earnestly try to fuck him up. You know what I mean? Like, I think that they understand that, and they understand. But can they actually not fuck him up? Is the thing? Like, I'm sure they're going to try to make him a giant star. I'm sure they're going to try to make him a test case. It's the matter of what they think is good is not necessarily what is actually good, or what's actually being done well, or that other guys in AEW are going to think is good, and that's going to be the big interesting part about it. I don't think. I truly don't. I don't. I mean, they would be. It would be one of the worst things they've ever done if they just bring this guy in. He loses to Seth, and he's just a guy. You know what I mean? That's the worst possible thing you could possibly do.
Would it stun you at all if he comes in and loses his first match?
God, no.
Come on.
God, no.
And then is feuding with Boogs.
I mean, that would be a little extreme, but
I wouldn't be stunned.
It is World Wrestling Entertainment. It is Vincent Kennedy McMahon. So yeah, I guess you're.
I mean, it wouldn't shock me at all, and they might think it's good.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the problem, and that's the problem with us doing the show that we do and covering WWE. And we came to this realization about 4 or 5 years ago that we just can't. We're operating on 2 different levels here. They're operating on a different level. They're not doing pro wrestling anymore. They're so far beyond doing pro wrestling. They're doing something else. It's not sports entertainment either. I don't know what the fuck it is. It's something. It's WWE. It's a brand of thing that WWE does or whatever. But like we said, we've lost all idea of like what's good or bad because they and their idea of good or bad is so skewed and so ridiculous that it's like, I don't know, like, yeah, maybe they think him feuding with Boogs is good. Like nobody else in the universe would think him feuding with Boogs is good, but they probably do. So how do you analyze it? How do you talk about it? You know,
you can never, ever discount Vince McMahon booking while being vindictive at the same time. You can never discount that ever. And because he believes he can tear you down and build you back up. He believes he can humble you, embarrass you, and then wave his magic wand and get you over. We all know that magic wand hasn't worked in decades. We know this. But he thinks that. So you can't discount him coming in, losing his first match, and ending up in some mid-card feud. I know it seems hard to wrap your head around, and it seems incredibly stupid, but you're falling for it again. This is what they do.
I know. I don't know why.
They put the belt on Big E, and look how they booked it.
They can't mess this up. They can't. You know what I mean? Like, they just can't.
Can mess anything up.
I know. But, like, God.
Which is probably why it's taking so long to make a deal, because he's probably trying to put in all kinds of protections that make it unfuck-upable.
I was going to say, I do wonder if a lot of this delay is him saying, all right, so what's the pitch? How do I come in? And then they send him something and he goes, nah, that's not, no, I need something more than that. I need, what's my 6-month plan, or what's my plan? Or, hey, I need to have, can I have some modicum of creative control? Can I, rule this? Can I rule that? And like you said, it might, you know what I mean? If he keeps this up, they might say, fuck it. We don't give a shit anymore, man. Get the hell, hit the bricks. Like,
who knows he's asking for it, but the holdup might not even be money. It might be, I don't want my promos written for me. I want to veto power on storylines. I want veto power on who I work with. Right. I want, because he's been there. He left for this reason, and he understands how it goes, and he knows Vince. And look what Vince did to his father. He has to have that in the back of his mind.
Oh, of course he does. Of course he does.
Okay. Vince would have Cody out there in the polka dots if he could. He would. And we all know that that's burning money. But he's been burning money for decades
in
these scenarios.
40 years now. So.
And it doesn't matter anymore because the money is guaranteed now. So you can fuck with the toy box all you want. And because the money's all guaranteed from the networks and from the Saudis. So it does not fucking matter. So that might be why this is taking so long. But don't think for 1 second, nothing's off the table. Nothing in terms of how badly they can fuck up Cody. Nothing. It can be as bad as you can fathom. They don't care. It doesn't matter. So if Vince's tact is, this is our chance to embarrass AEW, they'll use Cody to do that.
Right. It'd be a monumental failure of that company. Because
so stupid.
Because like we've said, the best thing you can do is push this guy to the fucking moon, because then every leverage you have for the future of any AEW guy is, hey, look what we did with Cody. Come here, leave them, and we'll do this with you or whatever. But that's not really ever been Vince McMahon's playbook. Like, we think that would be the way that I would operate. If I was Vince McMahon, I would say, well, we're going to push this guy to the moon. We're going to do everything we can with him, because now we have, like you said, we have that when we come to the table with any of those guys, be it Powerhouse Hobbs, whether it be Ricky Starks, whether it be MJF, whether it be whoever, Darby Allin, all those sort of guys, you can always say, hey, look, this is what we did with Cody. So, no, we're not going to treat you like, you're a second-class citizen because you were in AEW. We are going to put, look what we did with Cody. Look where he's at. That's how I would operate it, because it gives you so much more leverage. It just gives you something else at the table besides money to talk about. I'm not Vince McMahon, though, man.
If you see Cody not booked well and not making as much money as he can because of his spots on the card and everything else, and on top of that, you have a locker room full of Keith Lees telling you horror stories, then it helps you make your decision.
Right. I'm honestly trying to think in my head, who are the guys that they really grabbed from other promotions and just kind of, pushed, just kind of went with. Flair would probably be the best example of that, They obviously changed some aspects of Flair's character, but he was pretty much a top guy from day one.
Yeah, they were going to do Flair Hogan. They didn't like how it went at the house shows. We all know that story, but he ended up getting the title at the Royal Rumble anyway. They pushed Flair well. There were things I didn't like about the Flair push, and I thought he was like a slightly altered version of the Nature Boy and all of that. He was a WWE version of the Nature Boy.
Right. They still changed some of it, but at least at the end of the day, they realized they had Ric Flair in 1991, so said, well, let's just fucking push him,
Right. So I can't complain from that aspect. So yeah, he's one of them. Yeah.
I'm trying to think of others off the top of my head.
I guess Nakamura got pushed.
Yeah.
He won the Royal Rumble. He was in the title mix with AJ Styles. By their standards of today, he got pushed.
Yeah. I mean, it was after like half a decade at NXT or whatever, but
he got pushed in NXT. I mean, he got put in that big main event.
That's true.
I can't. Yeah, they pushed him. I'm not pushing him anymore.
Luger, I think Lex Luger would be one again that they definitely.
Well, they tried him as a bodybuilder first,
right.
Yeah, and then they did give him an honest.
Oh, you know what? Actually, hold on a minute. Nah, not really. They really didn't. When you go back in the Narcissus stuff, wasn't that?
Narcissus, yeah.
They didn't push him as. I mean, he was a top dude in WCW, and he was fucking around with like Mr. Perfect and shit when he came in. So no, I'm not counting Lex Luger. Never mind.
Well, the question is, and I don't have my memory's not good enough, and I'd have to go back, but. The question is, did they start him off as the narcissist as a heel to eventually give him the push as the next Hogan, or did they just decide, you know what I mean? Like, was that by design from the start? I don't know the answer to that. But
for this exercise, I don't think I quite, because I'm talking about guys like brought in and then just immediately like, all right, this dude's a dude. You know what I mean? Like, let's just push him. Let's.
I don't think you can count him because they wanted him to be in the WBF, and then they brought him in as a heel.
Right, and it took about 2 years for him to get to that, top spot or whatever, and then it was what it was. But they tried.
They did give him an honest try eventually, but he was the guy that slammed Yokozuna, obviously, and I was reading an old interview with Paul Heyman from 1990, whatever year that was, 94, I guess. And he is just going on and on about how it should have been Road Warrior Hawk coming off that helicopter to body slam Yoko.
He wanted Road Warrior Hawk to get off the helicopter, the USS Intrepid, and body slam Yoko. Why?
Yes, he says.
Okay.
He says that would have gotten over like crazy. You want me to see if I can find the quote?
The man who was fired 2 years prior for showing up drunk constantly. They wanted that guy to.
Here's what you have to remember. At the time he was doing the interview,
he was booking Road Warrior Hawk, wasn't he?
He was planning on building the WWN project with Jim Crockett.
Uh-huh.
He was planning on building that around Road Warrior Hawk.
Okay. Always a good idea. Always a smart idea is to build something around Road Warrior Hawk. Yeah. While he was pumping up his own. Yeah, it's Paul Heyman. It's Paul Heyman. I mean, if you think Paul Heyman's like, a master manipulator just of the last few years, you're very, very, very wrong. Very wrong. Yeah, because he's like day one master manipulator.
Yeah, he thought this guy was going to be his top guy in this new promotion he was starting, which, by the way, he was planning on shooting in HD TV in 1994, if you could believe it. With the forward thinking there. Let me see. So Wade Keller asked him, if you could choose any 5 wrestlers to base this new promotion around, which 5 wrestlers would you choose? You can hot shot with big stars, or you can build with the future. So here's what Paul Lee had to say.
All right, here we go. So this is in, what is this, 1994, you said?
July 26, 1993.
Okay, July of 1993. So we're fresh off the Luger thing.
Right now, he's moonlighting in ECW, working for Eddie Gilbert as a manager. And, is part of the office, too, helping out. But he's waiting for the Crockett non-compete to end so him and Crockett can start up this WWN promotion. That's where we are in the timeline. So ECW, he was just cashing a check in the interim. That's where he is at this point in time. So he says, this is off the top of my head. The first 5 that come to mind for me in no particular order are Road Warrior Hawk, Steve Austin, Shawn Michaels, Arn Anderson, and Sting. With asterisks, I would add Rick Rude, Brian Pillman, and Bobby Eaton. This is 1993, and he picked Steve Austin.
Yeah, I was going to say, he's not wrong. Road Warrior Hawk definitely sticks out in that list of guys.
Now, remember, this is also 1993, not 1996, and he picked Shawn Michaels. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm not saying, listen, everybody knew that Steve Austin had the potential to be a top guy in 91. He was a phenom in Texas.
Right. Yeah. By the way, don't let anybody fool you into that, like the Stone Cold thing that he thought he was like.
Well, here's more proof right here, 1993.
Yeah. I mean, go listen to commentary with JR in 1990. Like you said, not only in like the Texas scene, everybody was like, oh, this guy's fucking great. Like, this guy's going to be... Go watch any WCW from 91, 92, that range. And Jim Ross the entire time goes, well, if you're going to start a wrestling company, this is the guy you pick number one. Like, it was well known that this guy was going to be a dude, and probably had Hulk Hogan not come into WCW, this was going to be a guy. So yeah, don't let anybody tell you that he waltzed into, WWF, got Stone Cold, and that's why he became a star. Like, dude was going to be a star.
No, yeah, everybody saw it. Everybody saw it. And right here is more proof. 1993, he's picking him to start a promotion with.
The Michaels poll in 93, though, is pretty good because he's still kind of a dork. He's not quite there.
But as soon as the Rockers broke up, everyone kind of had him pegged as a potential guy. They did. Now, I'm not saying like by 93 he was already there and it was obvious, but yeah, he's got Road Warrior Hawk in there. And remember, he's got Pillman in there in 93 as well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so anyway, he goes on to say, Keller says, why not Ric Flair or Ted DiBiase for experience and recognition? Why not Undertaker, Mark Callis, who you've worked with in the past? And Heyman says he's high on Undertaker and love to have him, but as far as top picks at this very moment, I would want these other people. And he says, here it is. I chose Road Warrior Hawk because you can build a lot around him. Sting, because with the possible exception of Hawk, there is not one person in this country who could conceivably fill Hulk Hogan's shoes.
What? Excuse me? What?
And Sting is the one guy with enough charisma, with enough going for him, and after his matches against Rude and Vader has enough ring savvy now, Sting could do it. So Keller asked the obvious question. Why Hawk?
Right, yes. Thank you, Wade. Yes.
Critics would say
today's wrestling journalists couldn't and wouldn't. Thank you, Wade, for asking why Hawk.
No, today's wrestling journalists would go on Twitter and post crying face emojis and yeah. Okay, why Hawk? Critics would say Hawk has limited ability, or at least limited ambitions in the ring, and as a singles wrestler, he hasn't proven himself.
Correct. Also, very a lot of problems with substances around this time as well.
That's a very fair question, though. So Paulie responds, he hasn't had the opportunity yet.
Mm-hmm.
He hasn't been put to the test yet. He, right now, is so hungry to prove himself, it's like he's starting over again. This guy is so credible, and the people believe in him. Let me put it this way. If either Hawk or Sting walked off that helicopter and slammed Yokozuna, I would predict a monster buy rate for SummerSlam. End quote.
Okay, Sting, yes. I'm with you on that, pal, but
listen, I'm transferring the information.
Incredible.
Okay.
Paul Heyman is a genius, but he's also a manipulator. So you got always, that is the key with Paul Heyman, the key with ECW Wrestling News and any of the newsletters is you at least have to have that, in the back of your mind that it is Paul Heyman and there's an art to what he did.
You have to understand. Okay, if you really want me to dig deep into this quote,
sure.
He is being totally genuine with Steve Austin and Shawn Michaels as the next big stars in wrestling. He picked Arn because Arn's a great worker and a backbone for a promotion. And he picked Sting because, by that point, Sting was Sting. He put Hawk in there because he knew he already had Hawk.
He's booking Hawk, yeah.
And he already knew he was going to build around Hawk. So he was already starting the Road Warrior Hawk, build. He was already promoting Road Warrior Hawk as a top guy in the business.
Yeah, and that's a good way to say it, promoting. And there's always a tinge of people are getting information. You read ECW information in the Torch and the Observer, whatever, and there are random paragraphs that you're like, why is Dave so high on this guy or whatever? It's like, well, there's, a guy that he's talking to is very high in this guy that he is booking. So, and rightfully so, because he's a promoter and that's what promoters do is they promote their products. So yeah, there are certainly, and that's fine. That's okay. It's just, you have to know that going in. And yeah, that's a very clear case of this. One of the more clear cases, Road Warrior Hawk getting, like, Sting Sting, yes, absolutely. If fucking Sting in the red, white, and blue face paint comes out and slams Yoko on the Intrepid, yeah, you're damn right. If Hawk does that, I really, really don't think so. But you know what? Hey, keep promoting, man. That's your job. You're a promoter, so.
I'll give you one more, and this one's good. He goes through all the other people and gives the reasons. That's not very interesting. And then he says, Shawn Michaels, because he is by far right now, in my opinion, the best wrestler in the world today. Steve Austin, because he's someday going to blow Michaels right out of that position.
Wow.
End quote. So
1993, July of 1993.
July of 1993. Now, you can mock Paul Heyman for putting Road Warrior Hawk, but look, he's promoting the guy that he has, and he intentionally put him in the same class as the two hottest prospects in both promotions, and then Sting. You know, and it's he's trying to tell you this guy belongs, because he knows he already knows he has that guy. So that's the mind of Paul Heyman. And you know, elsewhere, it's funny because there's two Heyman interviews here, one from 1990, one from 93. And Wade Keller sees right through it. I'll see if I could find it quickly. I can. He talks about each interview and his takeaways from it. And here we go. He says, and the 93 interview was the second of the two interviews. And this is what Wade Keller had to say, and I quote. In the second interview, Paul Lee's spinning is evident. Paul Lee's mouth has always been his best friend and his enemy at the same time. He spent the early years of his career known as a hothead with a big mouth. That mouth got him a reputation in the business very quickly. He's also that mouth that got him into the business. But besides his mouth often getting him into trouble, he proved to be a master spinner, able to use his mouth to get him out of situations or rationalize his way out of situations. And here's the next part, which is very interesting, because if you've heard any recent media interviews with Paul Lee, this will slap you right upside the head. Quote, Paul Lee is sometimes too calculated sounding in his interviews, talking slowly and deliberately as if he's to be sure he doesn't misspeak. That interview style is in contrast to the free-flowing nature when not talking for the record. Even so, the strong points of his interviews are his outlook and his overview of the industry. And then he goes on to talk about the interview. Yeah. But that is so true, because I heard Paul Heyman on one of the sports media podcasts about 6 months ago. And it was infuriating how slow and deliberately he was talking, because he was very, very careful to not say anything that would cause a headline or rock the boat. And as a result, the interview was terrible. And it's funny that he was already exhibiting this in the early 1990s. And somebody like Wade Keller, who's very good at doing interviews, unlike the dopes that we have doing interviews today, Wade Keller is excellent at doing interviews. We all heard the Mox interview. He knows what he's doing, okay? And he'll ask questions and push people, unlike these bought and paid for people that we have doing, like Ryan Satin. Ryan Satin wouldn't know how to do an interview. Okay, Keller knows
that interview right there is saying why Hawk right there. Bingo. That is the difference. That if you want to know what the difference between real journalists and today's journalists in quotes are in today's wrestling media, that right there, Wade Keller going, whoa, slow down. Hawk, like we gotta. I'm not just gonna take that at face value. Like, why is Hawk in that list of other guys? Right there. That's it. Right there. It's the difference.
Yeah. And him recognizing that when Paul's being slow and deliberate, you're being worked.
Yeah.
You know, recognizing that. So, you know, just a little, I don't know how we got on that topic to begin with, but little diversion there with, because I've been studying a lot of Paul Heyman interviews and stuff for Jovember and really putting a lot of work into that. And those quotes, the Road Warrior Hawk stuff, just I thought it was funny, but always a promoter. I mean, you know, that was going to be his top star, so lump him in with the other top stars, and it's like perception is reality, right? But I he probably thought there was some reality to, like, I'm sure he thought he could make money with Hawk, pushing Hawk his way. Now, if you've seen Hawk's appearances in 1993 ECW, at some point I would hope that Paul Lee realized that he was completely out of his mind. I mean, you know, but, you know, at the time of that interview, he didn't. But anyway.
There you go. Yeah, somehow we got we were trying to think of people that were pushed immediately in the company, like, you know, using this Cody comp. Like, it's a short list, and I'm sure we'll think of it as you know, the time goes on. But like, off the top of my head, there's not a whole lot of guys that were just immediately. I mean, fuck Goldberg, you know, the wig. You know, I mean, that's all you need to know about that. So. I guess initially pushed as, you know, in main events and stuff, but not really earnestly. And Scott Steiner, kind of the same thing. He was put in main events, but, you know, wasn't really that sort of thing. It wasn't a star. I don't know. Yeah, there's examples, but yeah, not many of them are sustained. Not many of them are good. The fact that we had to bring up Lex Luger as a potential one, and Ric Flair in 1991 it doesn't bode well. So,
and there's a lot of times like we said, they think they're doing it, but we know it sucks.
Yeah, right.
And it's not necessarily a deliberate teardown, but we recognize and know that it sucks. So, anyway, that's WrestleMania, which I am not looking forward to, but gonna have to watch it. Gonna have to talk about it.
Why do you think I went to Alaska to avoid that shit? Anyway, we'll talk all WrestleMania weekend next week on the show. But before we get into New Japan Cup and ROH Supercard, we got to get a Crockett Cup as well. Got to talk NWA. We're gonna, I'm gonna shelf Supercard of Honor right now. Are you okay with that? Were you champing at the bit to talk about Supercard of Honor?
Not necessarily like break down the card, but it's just newsworthy in the sense that Tony Khan rebooked it, and I think that the interesting takeaways quickly, and we don't have to do a whole segment on
yeah, sure,
because we can talk about it next week, is that he kind of is backdooring the Briscoes. You know damn well he wants them on TV. Turner's putting the stop to that. Honestly, I don't know what else Jay Briscoe has to do. The man has publicly apologized at least 3 times now, twice in front of fans, at the time of the tweets, where he did it twice in front of live fans, a third time in a written statement that was last week or whatever it was. He's getting endorsements, unsolicited endorsements from LGBTQ wrestlers on the independent scene left and right. He's donated money. The tweets were a decade ago. I don't know what else the guy has to do. I would think that if the people in the LGBTQ community in wrestling are coming out and are forgiving of him, that their opinions would matter the most. Isn't that how this is supposed to work?
I would think. Yeah, you would think so.
So that weighs heavily to me when I see nearly on a near daily basis another wrestler saying, "Hey, look, I know him. I don't believe that that's who he is anymore," or whatever. I feel like his apologies have all felt genuine and heartfelt, but maybe I'm a bad judge because I see apologies all the time, and I'm like, that looks good to me, and people are like, that's a terrible apology. I'm not like an apology red marker guy. I don't know. I take people at face value. Maybe I'm too trusting, but people who normally are hard on apologies are saying his apologies are good. I don't know what else he has to do. And poor Mark Briscoe didn't do anything. So I don't know, but it's very clear that I feel like Tony wanted to do that FTR match, and he's doing it in ROH now. And, this is the proof that Tony wanted to book these guys because he's booking them. And maybe this will be their backdoor way onto TV, or maybe Turner will hold steady. Now, I'm not looking to tear down Scorpio Sky, but someone explain to me the difference. I'm struggling to see the difference. Both guys made their comments ages ago, so it's not like Jay Briscoe did his last week. Scorpio Sky apologized too, but not to the extent that Jay Briscoe did. I don't see him getting the endorsements from people that Jay Briscoe's getting. And again, I'm not trying to tear down Scorpio. I've nothing against Scorpio Sky, but I don't understand the difference. Why are they either both not on TV or both on TV? I don't understand, but maybe someone from Turner would be able to explain that better. Maybe they don't know about Scorpio Sky. Maybe it's because Jay Briscoe said that he would kill people. Maybe that's the difference. I don't know. But the bottom line is he's getting booked for ROH. And I would think that Tony Khan's going to try to keep finding ways to try to get him into AEW. We'll see. That's interesting piece number 1. Interesting piece number 2 is Khan rebooked the whole show. And I think it's funny that he took Killer Cross off the show, who was originally booked for the show.
Yeah.
So no interest in Killer Cross. Is that what he's working as now?
Your guess is, I forget what it is. I don't care enough to remember what it is. So.
It's like he's rebooked the show in his image, and I saw a lot of silly wrestlers on Twitter publicly saying how they're disgruntled or they're doing the thing where they're clearly mad, but they're saying they're not mad, and because they're not booked on the show. And publicly saying how they didn't
I'm not
kiss
mad that I'm
enough
not
ass.
booked, but but I'm making a tweet about it. Yeah, but I'm gonna make a tweet about
passive
it.
aggressive, and it's just so dumb. I mean, you don't know. Maybe Tony Khan would have booked you at some point, or maybe you're on some short list. And man, me and you have seen names considered for AEW in the past, and they're not who people be surprised by some of them, And it's like, I don't know why you would publicly shoot yourself in the foot.
Yeah, don't burn that bridge. Don't burn that bridge just in case. Like you
why
never
run
know
the
who you need
risk
a
of
job
annoying
from.
the guy.
Right.
He's very online. He's going to see it. Why run the risk of annoying him and to where he's going to say, you know what, fuck that guy. I might have booked him, but not anymore. Why do that? And I think it was Shane Taylor and Tony Deppen. It's all public. I'm not like just saying anything that's not right on Twitter. It's like, why? Those are both talented guys too. I mean, I don't understand it, but we'll have to see how it all shakes out. But we could talk more about it next week.
Yeah, I did think the Tony's quotes, I believe it was on Busted Open, were pretty interesting. I thought they were pretty poignant. It does seem like a guy who doesn't necessarily. If it was up to him, he probably would have canceled this show if he really felt that he could have. One of the quotes he said, "It's not normally something I would do. It's not normally something AEW would do. It's not something AEW would ever do, and we're not doing it. The event had been scheduled in advance by Ring of Honor, and the tickets had been sold, so I felt the right thing to do would be right by the fans and have the show and make it the best show I possibly could, even though it's unusual for us to go into enemy territory and run a show that weekend." He really wants you to know that he doesn't want to run WrestleMania weekend. So badly, Tony does not want to give any sort of credence to WrestleMania weekend. And you could see the booking.
Well, read the next line.
Right. The next line is, it's normally something associated with smaller wrestling companies. It's something I didn't want to do. Since it was booked and the fans are committed to it, I'm going to go in 100% and make it the best show I possibly can. Well, first off, you can cancel any future Supercard of Honors. Those are not happening ever again. Whatever iteration of Ring of Honor we're going to have, Supercard of Honor is either not going to be on WrestleMania weekend or it just never will exist again. That's
and he's
over and done with.
Because if you don't want the perception of coattailing the big boy, you don't put your shows that weekend. So I can't disagree with him.
No, and it's actually an interesting thing that we discussed in a lot of the WrestleMania weekend previews we did is a lot of people saying that they don't really feel this WrestleMania weekend anymore, or they don't really feel like the weekend is the same as it was even a couple years ago. Isn't not necessarily because of the shows. That's part of it, the shows, the wrestlers, all that sort of stuff, but also because it feels like there's other destination wrestling weekends now, and that is something that I think AEW is much more hoping to do, is that, hey, you know what, WrestleMania weekend, let whoever do WrestleMania weekend, but we're going to have All Out weekend. We're going to have Double or Nothing. We're going to have our own things. Like, I don't think that Tony hates that idea. Like, I think that he probably doesn't love that some of his wrestlers will appear on all those shows or yada, yada, whatever. But, like, I think it's pretty cool that they have kind of created their own destination weekends. And now to some people, All Out weekend feels like just as important as WrestleMania weekend does. And that's a big thing. That's a big turning point where WrestleMania weekend felt like if you were anybody, a wrestler, a company, or whatever, you had to be on this weekend, you had to be running this weekend, and you had to put your best foot forward this weekend. That is not the case this year. We can see that clearly in the shows. We can see it clearly in the wrestlers. We can see it clearly in the matches that were booked. It just does not have that anymore. It's a weekend that you run because you're going to get people to come to your shows, but it is not the most important thing on the calendar anymore for a lot of these wrestling promotions, and I thought that was pretty interesting.
No, I mean, there's a lot of promotions that aren't running Mania weekend anymore. And as far as, what he can do now, like you're saying, creating his own destination weekends, either in Vegas or Chicago or wherever, is now you run your Ring of Honor shows on those weekends and make it a back-to-back thing for your fans, where you go to the Ring of Honor show night one, and then you go to the AEW pay-per-view night two, sort of like the NXT WWE thing where they were stacking their shows. So, I completely agree with his mindset. I totally understand it. Now, with that said, I understand why Ring of Honor used to run Mania weekend, because they did some of their biggest gates ever.
Oh, for sure. I just wrote about it on Patreon. Yeah, the Supercard of Honor, the original Supercard of Honor, the original Better Than Our Best or whatever. I mean, they got 1,000+ people. They got their biggest shows ever that weekend. They made the piggybacking on it. It was a risk initially, and you can go read the old Observers at the time too, and it was like, I don't know, this is kind of weird. They're going to run a show against the Hall of Fame. Like, I don't know, is it going to work? And like, it fucking worked. It worked really good. And it was like some of the best shows their company has ever done. It featured one of the most influential matches of all time. So from that point forward, Gabe Sapolsky and later Ring of Honor on their own without Gabe realized, hey, you know what? It's a great opportunity to sell some of our biggest tickets. Go back to that New Orleans WrestleMania weekend, even a couple years ago. I mean, that thing, that UNO arena, I mean, god damn, how many people were in that arena? Was it like,
they had like a 2-year consecutive run where they broke their all-time attendance record at Mania weekend.
Yeah.
The 1 year with the Hardys on top, and then the other year in Louisiana, the one you're talking about, with the Cody Kenny Omega match.
Yeah.
Which technically wasn't the main event, because technically the main event was the world title match with Marty Scurll and Dalton Castle. But Cody Kenny Omega was the main event. And New Japan ran that match back at the Cow Palace and drew the biggest gate in the history of the Cow Palace, which has a little bit of wrestling history.
A little bit.
So, Cody and Omega was a huge feud, and Ring of Honor capitalized on that. So, yeah, the point here is coattailing worked for them because they drew some of their biggest gates in history. And they really, and it was Carrie Silkin's idea originally. And Gabe would always say that. He corrected us on air one time when we were like, hey, WrestleMania weekend night. He's like, no. That's Carrie's idea. I didn't want to do it. He said he didn't want to do it. But like you said, eventually he saw the wisdom, and that opened the floodgates for everybody else. Now, I know people are going to say, oh, no, there was 1 year in wherever the fuck where PWG did. That wasn't a real WrestleMania weekend show.
No, they were in LA. They were in LA the year that WrestleMania was in LA, but they're always in LA. You know what I mean? I'm not going to count that. I'm counting as in, and that's, the piece I have, and there's a series of pieces that are going to be up at flagship.patreon.com over the next week, that, the true WrestleMania weekend is companies traveling in, putting on big time shows, big time matches, promoting them as such. Like that's what quote unquote WrestleMania weekend is.
It's promoting them as WrestleMania weekend.
Right, exactly. It's not, IWA Mid-South, because like that year in 2006 or whatever, IWA Mid-South ran too, but they always were running in like Illinois area, and that was just the weekend that they happened to, and they did put their best foot forward. They did try to have a pretty good show, but I don't count that as a quote unquote true WrestleMania weekend. I mean, yeah, and like you said, PWG happening to run the weekend that WrestleMania is in LA. I mean, that doesn't really count.
And either way, that wasn't the one that influenced the future. Ring of Honor did.
Right.
That's all that counts. Like, I always say it. Like, Sabu wasn't the first guy to go through a table, but why do people do table spots today? Because of Sabu. Yeah. Not because of someone in Memphis in 1979. So sometimes it's not always the first person who ends up being the influencer. But yeah, no, this is kind of the end of an era then, if this is presumably going to be the last Ring of Honor show on a WrestleMania weekend. And that's, something that we could talk about more next week when, we have a more fleshed out card and all of that, and we talk about it. So
yeah. If we do. But I think we should. Yeah, they should. I mean, it's a pretty fun card already at this point. But
I would like to talk. Listen, we have talked about all of these little ROH reboots because there's part of us that want it to be ROH again.
Of course.
And,
of course.
I will admit that. I mean, I think, I've gotten excited over several of these reboots before. And then I really think the pandemic fucked them up. I mean, they were putting money into it and they had built a nice roster. Marty gets busted because he was doing a good job. He gets busted and rightfully ousted. I'm not saying they should have kept him. Nobody start that shit. And then the pandemic happens, and that is fucking all she wrote. And it's a shame because, we could have seen how that would have played out, even with Delirious getting the book back like he always seems to do. Like something always happens and Delirious ends up back with the book.
Yeah, Hunter Johnson's running the show again somehow.
So anyway.
There you go. But yeah, we'll go in a little more detail with that next week. But all right, let's actually real quick, let's talk about the Patreon. I've been kind of plugging some of the stuff I've done there. Flagshippatreon.com, voicesofwrestling.com/Patreon, patreon.com/voicesofwrestling, however you want to get there. I have some written content coming out over the next week. My initial plan was going to have it be audio, but I just do not have the chance to sit down and do the audio for all those. So I have written content about 5 monumental, important WrestleMania weekend matches. The first one I talked about was obviously the Dragon Gate 6-man. The one that will be out by the time I think most of you guys listen to this is going to talk about Davey Richards versus Michael Elgin from the 2012 Ring of Honor show. Just an all-time great match, and it was our inaugural match of the year as well for Voices of Wrestling, the first time we ever did a match of the year. That's the match that won. Then I'm going to get into Zack Sabre Jr. and Will Ospreay. I'm going to talk about PCO and Walter. And then the 5th match, why am I blanking on what the 5th match was? I have another match here, but I forget what it was off the top of my head. I guess you'll be surprised when I get surprised. It'll come to me at some point. But yeah, 5 columns, 5 wrestling matches talking about the significance. But more than anything, it's kind of a review of that WrestleMania weekend. It's a discussion of what what sort of the thoughts of that WrestleMania weekend was and how important that WrestleMania weekend was to people. Did I say Zack Sabre Jr. and Will Ospreay? Is that the one I forgot? Or did I say that one already? I don't know if I said that one already.
I went and took a leak, and I don't know what you said.
Let's go with it. Let's go with Zack Sabre Jr. Will Ospreay if I didn't say that one. That one is a very influential match, and it will lead into something we're going to talk about here in a little bit. I didn't even realize we were going to do it. When I had the plan of writing about that match and I started writing some parts about it, then, I was gifted with another part of another chapter in their story. So, that we're going to do that. So just written content there at flagshippatreon.com. Long form columns about 5 matches and 5 WrestleMania weekends, just discussing the history of WrestleMania weekend, how important and significant that match was to that WrestleMania weekend, and how significant that WrestleMania weekend was to the history of what the weekend was. Because, we can come on here in these shows and, we can get upset that it's not the same as it always used to be. But, man, nobody covers WrestleMania weekend like we do at Voices of Wrestling. And we're going to continue to do that as long as WrestleMania weekend exists. I promise that.
Attaboy.
Also, by the way, voiceofwrestling.com if you want to actually know what the shows are and the matches are, because if you don't want to click around to 19 different wrestling promotions Twitter profile and images to find out what the cards are, don't worry, we got you covered over at voicesofwrestling.com. Just look up Voices of Wrestling, or just look up WrestleMania weekend on Google. I think we're the first result that comes up. We also have streaming information as well, so if you want to know how to buy the shows, there's some bundles out there. WrestleCon has a bundle for all of their shows. GCW obviously has a collective bundle for all of their shows, and then the ROW in Texas has a bundle for all of their shows as well. But believe it or not, we have not sold any of those yet, Joe, but I'm sure those are coming. Late buys, I'm sure, for the Reality of Wrestling bundle for that weekend.
Booker's running shows?
Booker's running shows, baby. Yes.
Man. I got a lot to catch up on.
It's an interesting weekend for sure. But all that stuff is available at Voices of Wrestling, and then the written content will be at flagshippatreon.com on the $10 tier.
Yeah. So, recent stuff behind the paywall, more New Japan exclusives on the Bullet Club split, all of the decision making that went into that and what you could expect seeing moving forward. I don't think anybody's reporting accurately on New Japan. I don't think anyone's reporting on New Japan at all.
Not at all. Yeah. Not at all.
If you want New Japan scoops and Japan scoops, like, we're the only person doing them. And you go back and, look at it. I mean, it's all been extremely accurate. So it's all straight from the locker room. We did a weekend indie roundup last weekend, a bunch of topics that I knew we probably wouldn't get to on the flagship proper. So I wrote up a little report on that with the Circle 6 debut, and Rich, his thoughts from the AAW show that he went to, plus some of the drama between Circle 6 and Game Changer. I then did a follow-up piece with the Circle 6 promoter, Mike Gavorgian. We spent about 45 minutes on the phone, and so there's a written piece breaking down our conversation concerning the Circle 6 debut and all the controversy around, Game Changer and Circle 6 and Atticus Kogar and some of the mysterious events that surrounded their debut. And so he was very gracious with his time. And much like Wade Keller, Rich, I know how to do an interview.
Yeah, you do.
So
damn right you do.
I asked the pertinent questions, and he was very open when he could be about answering those questions. So you'll get some insight on Circle 6 and a lot of the drama surrounding Circle 6 and Game Changer and kind of those weird Twitter accounts that are popping up. So, this isn't the first time we've done this behind the paywall. I like to go to the source and see if I can get them to talk on record. And surprisingly,
you'd be surprised how often guys do that. They want to set the record straight.
Yeah, you'd be surprised if you just reach out to people how willing they are to speak on the record and let their words speak for themselves. And so we've got that up. Match of the week is back. Now that I'm back after, I was gone for a couple weeks, but match of the week is back. We've got Kato and Mr. Fuji versus Barbarian and Haku from July 1st, 1991. And
a very Joe Lanza match, by the way. Way to come back.
Very, very Joe Lanza match. And it's not, these match of the weeks, it's not just slap a YouTube link up and say, go ahead and watch it. I always do a nice little write-up, give you some background, talk about the match, and that's really what people enjoy about it. And then if you're a subscriber, of course, on our Discord, there's a locked channel for subscribers to talk about the match of the week. And you're, of course, free to talk about it in the comments on the paywall as well. So there is a backstory to that weird sounding match that is interesting. There's a new Yes movement. I don't know what Rich plugged already, so I'm just
I haven't plugged that one yet, but thank you for bringing that up. That's a big one here. That the one that we just posted, Chapter 6, which by the way, you should listen to all the chapters. You should obviously catch up. That I've recommended that from day one, and I pretty much think that if you're going to jump into the Yes movement, which is the story of Daniel Bryan to WrestleMania 30, you should try to listen to all the chapters before, because it really lets my frustrations of where the story went and how long and how hard it was to finally just fucking push this guy and put him in the main event of WrestleMania. Finally, in Chapter 6, we do get that. That is where we get the Hijack Raw. That's where we get the Occupy Raw. That is where finally, mercifully, CM Punk's not coming back, and they finally decide, all right, fuck it. Let's put Daniel Bryan against Triple H. Let's put Daniel Bryan in the WrestleMania main event. But you need the 5 other chapters to really give you the idea of the journey that this guy had to go under to finally get there. And my plan is Chapter 7 is going to be more just kind of a, hey, we got to WrestleMania, it finally happened, it's over, it's whatever. And then my plan as well, when Chapter 7 gets released, is I'll have one big video or audio file that will be the entire story all uploaded all at once. So you'll be able to listen. If you just want to sit down and listen to all 6 or 7 hours of the Yes Movement all at once, that file will be available for you as well. So if you don't want to say, I don't want to click to Chapter 2 and all that sort of stuff, I'll have a file where you can just click play. If you haven't listened to any of them, you can click play and you'll get the entire Yes Movement series, which people have loved, rave reviews about it, and I'm sad that it's going to have to end, but I'm pretty pleased with what we did, and this will not be the last of these kind of audio documentaries that we do here, because I had a blast doing it. I love doing the research and digging into it. But yeah, Chapter 6 just posted. Chapter 7 will be up hopefully within the week, because I want to have it around WrestleMania as well. So you're getting a lot of content from me before I go off to the tundra, the frozen tundra of Alaska. So.
All right, we got anything left to plug here, or should we do more show for these people?
I think we're good. On the plugs.
$5 tier will get you most of that.
Yeah, $10 going to get you that written stuff, though. So I mean, and this live show. Flagship. Yeah, what are you doing?
Live pay-per-view reviews. So but $5 will get you a lot of that stuff we just talked about. Okay, what do we got next here?
All right, let us get to the New Japan Cup. I mentioned Zack Sabre Jr. and Will Ospreay a little bit there. They had an incredible quarterfinal. But before we do that, before we talk about the quarterfinals and preview the semifinals, Joe, you have now had a chance to catch up on the New Japan Cup. I talked a little bit about that last week with Andrew and Joe Gagney about some stuff that I liked in the New Japan Cup, some stuff that those guys enjoyed. You have pretty much seen it all, right? Yeah, have you caught every New Japan Cup match so far?
I was given recs because it was happening while I was gone, so I was given recommendations on the stuff that was truly the must-watch stuff, and then I watched all of it. So I'm a maniac. I'm completely caught up on the New Japan Cup, and I don't know. I guess before we talk about the semifinals, just some big picture, maybe odd thoughts that have crossed through my brain. A lot of the super hype stuff didn't land with me like it did with some others. The Okada Taichi match, for one, the Cobb Yoshihashi match. I thought they were fine matches, but I didn't think that they were like these spectacular matches that other reviews claimed that they were. They didn't quite land with me. Shingo Ishii did. I mean, that was a great match. I don't anticipate it being a match of the year contender for me. So I guess I was a little bit lower on that one than the consensus as well, because I've seen some 4 3/4, 5 stars for Shingo Ishii. It was really good, don't get me wrong. But what's really grabbed my attention in this tournament, Shima, I thought a lot of his early stuff against the grimy veterans is so much fun and was just such good pro wrestling. The match against Taka Michinoku, the match against Yoshinobu Kanemaru. I'm not going to say that those were necessarily better matches than maybe the Okada match, but maybe the Kanemaru match was, but I just thought the stories that he told with those other older veterans really landed with me. Like
they were different. I think they were different, and that's something I've been enjoying a little bit more about New Japan in this cup, is that there does feel like there's some variety in a lot of the matches in a good way. Like, and that.
Can I ask you? Did you watch Tetsuya Naito versus Gato or no?
I did not. I did not get to that one. I've heard that one is awesome. Yeah, I've heard that one's pretty fun though.
I can't kill you for skipping it. It's a fucking Gato match, but like, I really enjoyed that. Like, I didn't expect to. But, Gato's working over Naito's knee. You know the history with Naito's knee. And he's working over the knee with the fucking hammer on the outside. And then he gets him back in the ring. And it's just, it's like, with these weird New Japan pandemic crowds and everything, sometimes I appreciate a neat and tidy 8-minute story. And maybe that makes me a fucking DVD, VR or fucking poster or something. But I don't know. It's like, I watched Sima wrestle Okada, And man, did that not work for me. Did you see that match or no?
Yeah, I did not love it either. I kind of went in thinking, oh boy, here we go. It's Okada versus CIMA. And they worked like just a very standard New Japan style match or whatever. Just a very basic sort of Okada style match or whatever, which Okada style matches are great when they're in there and he's able to go, and really, really do what he does best. But this was just kind of, I don't know. There was not much to it. I was very disappointed when it was over. I was just
I'm going to tell you my problem with it. My problem with it is I thought CIMA looked noticeably a step slow, and it was the first time where I felt that this guy's aging. Because last year when he was in All Japan, early in the year I thought he was the best wrestler in the company because Miyahara was kind of mailing it in, and I didn't love Suwama's stuff.
What?
Yeah, and I wasn't loving Suwama's stuff early in the, and I thought CIMA was legitimately the best wrestler in All Japan for like the first quarter of the year. When I see him in other places, in the tags with the, Strong Hearts guys, and in those shorter matches earlier in the tournament, he looks good. And this match against Okada, I was like, whoa, he has lost a step. It was obvious to me. I thought it was interesting that Okada, despite the fact he's CIMA, and there's got to be some level of respect that, look, they had him win 3 matches. He beat Hiroki Goto, okay? So I thought it was interesting that Okada didn't give him a long back and forth closing stretch. He kind of just rainmakered that bitch and put him away.
He did. I was kind of surprised by that as well. I kind of thought there was going to be at least a kick out or two, but he just fucking short arm clothesline, 1, 2, 3, get out of here. You're done, pal.
You didn't get 100 counters to it, or you didn't get CIMA getting a bunch of near falls. You beat him pretty definitively, and I don't know if that's, like, obviously Okada's driving the cart in a situation like that. He's fucking Kazuchika Okada. But I don't know if that's a situation where he felt like the guy couldn't hang with him in that kind of match, or if I might be reading too much into it. All I know is CIMA did not look great in that match, and it is for the first time ever. I thought time's catching up to this guy, and it catches up to all of them. But that's the first time I've thought it about CIMA. And I think maybe he was able to disguise that in some of the earlier matches where it was more mat work based, and the Kanemaru match, Kanemaru just worked on his leg the whole match, so he didn't have to do much physically. And the only thing that ruined that, I would have went notebook on that fucking match if CIMA didn't just decide to completely no-sell at the end of the match. He just completely no-sold. I don't ask for much, Rich. Shake out the fucking leg.
He's still CIMA, man. Yeah, he's got to get his shit in, so yeah.
Punch it a little, shake it out. I don't ask for much. I'm not a selling fetishist. I don't need Chris Masters on fucking main event. But he completely no-sold it and then finished that guy off with a Meteora.
the move that impacts your knees entirely.
It's like, I mean, fuck, man, at least cradle him or something. It's like, so that kind of ruined what was on its way to being a really great match for me. But that stood out to me. And anyway, those are some of my overall thoughts. I thought some of the best matches in the tournament. Okada Desperado on night 1. What did you think? Did you watch Hiromu Minoru Suzuki do the chops?
Yeah, that was fun. I enjoyed that. Yeah, again, like I really, anything that was a little different and anything that kind of deviated from the normal kind of match structure, I dug. And it's weird. I don't know. I guess I'm becoming that way. I've just seen so much wrestling over the last couple of years, and I think I just like stuff like you said. I don't know if that makes me a weird, like, I become one of those weird message board guys. I'm a DVDR guy or whatever. But like sometimes I just want to watch like a very interesting, different match that does it, where guys go out there and say, you know what, hey, we could do this, but let's do something a little bit different. Let's try something different. Let's yeah. So I like that. I like that approach, and that's really been. Everything in this New Japan Cup that I've liked has been like that. It's kind of felt different. I don't know exactly how to describe it, but the people that know the matches that you were talking about here, the ones that have watched them, know what we're talking about. That they were a little different than what you were used to. Like Shingo and Hiromu was good. Shingo and Hiromu was exactly what you thought they were going to do. I don't know. I wasn't that into it. Like, I was just kind of like, yeah, they're out there having exactly the type of match that I thought Shima and Hiromu were going to have. Good work, good stuff. But yeah, talk about the difference between that and like Will and Zach, which we're going to, go nuts about here in a little bit. I mean, that match just hit me on a completely different level than anything else in this tournament so far. But no, I've liked the weird, interesting matches, the ones people that have approached it in a more interesting way than just going out there and having, let's go exchange some moves, kick out of some finishers, that sort of stuff. It's nice to see a little difference.
Don't you feel like if Hiromu Suzuki had happened 5 years ago, it would have been the talk of social media for a week.
Oh, for sure. Oh, the gifts. I mean, the gifts alone would have been everywhere. I mean, yeah, that's
baiting it. Like,
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because they just chopped each other for 20 minutes, and it was a very, very unique match. And Suzuki thinks outside the box like that. And Hiromu's a psychopath. So he'll do that kind of match and allow Suzuki to just beat the living shit out of him in that way. I'm a little down on Hiromu. I don't know. The big thing with Hiromu now, and I've liked his matches. Like, I liked that match, and I liked the Shingo match well enough. But the thing with Hiromu right now is they're telling this story where he's overcoming these heavyweights, and the Evil match especially, where it really helps to be emotionally invested in Hiromu's stuff, because he tells these very emotional, thick, heavy stories of overcoming, Evil and all his henchmen, and overcoming Minoru Suzuki and doing it as a junior. And I understand what they're doing, and they're pushing him and all that, and he's beating heavyweights consistently. But I am just, maybe it's the lack of emotional investment because his matches are just missing something for me. And that was never the case early on in his New Japan career when he came back, when he was obviously one of the most exciting wrestlers in the world. But right now, I can't put my finger on what it is, but he's just missing something. I don't know how you feel about that.
Yeah, I guess I don't know if I have usually if I have a stance like that, I have a reason for it, but I'm kind of with you. It's like a lot of stuff that I've seen, I don't know. He's just not landing with me on that level. Like I'm not watching him thinking, oh man, we're on the cusp of watching this guy become one of the top guys in this company. I haven't felt that so far. Like I wouldn't mind it. Like I think Hiromu has the talent to do it, and I think he obviously has the fans to do it or whatever. But yeah, so far nothing I've seen has really. I don't know. I'm not buying him in that level. I don't feel like I need to get in on the ground floor of this guy, if that makes sense.
Look, I got 5 matches from this tournament in the notebook, and he's in 2 of them. So it's not like, but it's just there's something missing from all of his matches. I don't know. Mm-hmm. And the Cork and Hall match with Evil, which people are ranting and raving about the great atmosphere and how hot people were for it, and they were. That obviously is going to do nothing for me because I have no interest in any of that. In Evil and House of Torture. In House of Torture versus LIJ, in Hiromu, obviously, remember how he reacted when Evil turned with the screaming in the ring. And I get this is a good story. I just don't care about it. So maybe that's where some of Hiromu's stuff is just falling a little flat for me. I couldn't give a shit whether he gets revenge on Evil or not. It's just because I don't care about that story. But anyway, yeah, that's kind of the early round stuff. There was a lot of bizarre stuff. Like they've thought outside the box, like the Will Ospreay Bushi match, which went through 4 referees. Like I hated that, loved it, thought it was funny, and thought it sucked all at the same time. Like
right, yeah.
Like it's just, but it was something different. Where it's like one referee after another takes a bump, and another referee comes out. That guy gets knocked out. And it's like. It was experimental. And then whatever happened with Will and Sonata at the end, which I still can't figure out. Do you have any clue what happened there?
No, I every time I have a clue, I see another theory at it, or I watch the clip again, and I'm still not sure. And they leaned into it a lot during the Zack Sabre Jr. Will Ospreay thing. That makes me maybe question it, but like, how do you question it? You know what I mean? Like, it's so weird. Yeah. I don't know. I
would think it's a work if Red Shoes wasn't such an imbecile at the end of the match because he didn't know what to do.
Right. And he's done that. He's had a pattern of doing that as well in big time. When people get hurt or something happens in a match that's not, normal, he loses his fucking mind, has no idea what to do. So
yeah. So from that standpoint, I don't think it's a work. And I think now that it happened, they may as well lean into it and make a story out of it. I think that's what's happening. Ospreay immediately when the match ended leaned into it. Like he mocked Sonata being knocked out by laying on the mat.
Yeah, that stuff's always a little too much for me. I that's where I wonder is he playing it up a little bit? Because like the Kota Ibushi thing from all those years ago, you were pretty adamant that there was a little bit of A, a little bit of B, that the turnbuckle was what knocked him out, and then the hidden blade, they just happened to say, oh, perfect, he's getting this new move over, let's act like that's the move that gave him the concussion or whatever.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, then you had like Young Lions loosely like lifting him up on like a very little small gurney with no, medical attention or whatever. So you didn't quite get that on this one. This one did feel like it was a little bit, but yeah, the leaning into it is tough. But I mean, that's a different company, man. You know what I mean? Like that there's a different culture there, and there's definitely an idea that, hey, if shit happens, whatever, let's see if we can make some money off of it. Like it's in a way, it's a lot of the old school wrestling. Like, hey, fuck, that hurts, that's awful, but let's make some money,
They've leaned so hard into it that, again, I would think it was a work if not for Red Shoes being completely at a loss. As to
right. Yeah, he's not that good of an actor to get that across.
That's your tip off. So it wasn't a hidden blade. It was it was one of the weakest looking hidden blades you'll ever see. Now that doesn't necessarily mean it wasn't stiff, but he worked another 2 or 3 minutes after the hidden blade, and it wasn't the errant standing shooting star that bruised his eye, because he worked another 5 minutes or so after that. He picked him up. He set him up to do presumably the match-ending hidden blade, and Sonata collapsed and didn't get up, and that's where everything fell apart. So I don't know what the hell knocked him out, because there was nothing impactful in the moments before he went out. Could it be possible that Sonata was like, I'm fucked up, my eyes fucked up, I don't want to take another hidden blade just in case, and maybe just ducked out? I can't figure it out, because then Will picks him up and gives him the elbows, and that's where Red Shoes, like, Will wants him to stop the match, and Red Shoes just isn't getting it.
Right. Yeah, definitely either a language or a logic barrier going on at that time.
Probably both. Like, and he's just not fucking understanding that, okay, this guy can't take a move right now, just ring the fucking bell, because none of those elbows connected. And it's like, he was being very careful with him at that point. I still have no clue what the fuck happened. But like you said, they kind of incorporated a lot of that into the Zack Sabre Jr. match, which I guess we could talk about now. What a great match.
Fucking phenomenal.
I mean, these are just two wrestlers, they're just so great together.
Yeah, they think differently, especially when they get in the ring together. And that's when I was done with that match, I just kind of said, these guys, there are a lot of great wrestlers in this world. There are a lot of guys that can go out there and have great wrestling matches and go out there and do really, really great performances and all that sort of stuff. But these guys, they just approach the art a little bit different, and a little bit better than most other people. I put MJF in that same category as well. Guys that, like, everything matters to them. And nothing they do doesn't have some sort of thought put into it, or significance put into it, or reason behind it, or whatever. A lot of guys can go out there and throw a bunch of bombs and kick out of stuff, and that stuff rules. That stuff fucking rocks. I love matches like that. You know what I mean? Like, that stuff rules. Shingo, one of my favorite wrestlers ever. Okada, one of my favorite wrestlers ever. And those guys do think about stuff, and it's obviously not, it's not like they're just out there, getting their shit in and getting out of there. They obviously think about stuff and incorporate that, in their matches as well, but they don't do it on the level that these guys do. Like Will and Zach, anytime they're in the ring together, everything they do is so deliberate, so plotted out, so planned out. And Will Ospreay, we're not even going to qualify it anymore. Some people feel the need that they have to qualify when you say that he's a great wrestler and he's like one of the all-time greats. I vote that we not do that anymore, because the people that just don't get it, you're just not going to get it, and you're completely lost. You're just an absolute idiot. I mean, this guy, look at what he's done this year alone, Joe. The Okada match, the Oku match, and this match. All legitimately can make my top 10 this year. Are all legitimately right now in my top 5 this year. This guy's fucking phenomenal. It's March. It's the end of March. And 3 totally different matches, too. One was, let's throw a bunch of bombs at each other, kick out a bunch of stuff, and it rocked. One is Will Ospreay being the most detestable, awful heel you've ever seen in your life. And then this one where, his role is a little loose. I mean, yeah, he's kind of a heel.
They're playing off of their previous matches.
Right, exactly. It's not necessarily like as strong of a heel-face dynamic. It's more of a, hey, here are two guys that have a history together. Here they are kind of playing that history out in a wrestling ring. And
then the finish, of course, which is, did he or did he not tap? And,
yeah, it was great.
And they don't really do a ton of finishes like that. It's funny because they did one with Zack Sabre Jr. and Okan to kind of set this up, where Okan was going to finish him off, and he went to give him his finish, but then Zack caught him in a triangle, and Okan tapped immediately. And, Okan had him, but he got greedy and he got caught. And they did like an MMA style tap where he tapped quick. And that match ruled, by the way, Okan and and Sabre. And then, then this match, they kind of do something similar where he puts Will in the wacky hold. And, Will's a heel. He tapped. But the idea is him and his heel cronies are trying to play it off like, this is a controversy. They're screwing me because it wasn't a tap. And they're working kind of like a sports controversy into it. And, they're arguing with the ref afterwards. So even the Ocon finish kind of played into it as well. So, yeah, just great storytelling. And obviously just, the kind of work you're going to get out of those two guys, which is going to always be top elite 0.01%, work in the world between two guys like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm writing about the WrestleMania weekend match, which is one of the more phenomenal matches I've ever seen on a WrestleMania weekend. I called it at the time. I reviewed at the time and said, okay, the British invasion is here. You know what I mean? Like that, it's here and it's not going away. And obviously, for some reasons, it did kind of go away a little bit. But these guys never went away. I mean, these guys are two of the top stars. And at the time, they still were kind of just like dudes that your hardcore wrestling fans knew about, but the smart people knew that these dudes were going to be around and these guys were going to be top stars in wrestling in due time. And here we are. Will obviously eclipsing Zach in some ways, but Zach, I think in this year going to definitely rise up. But no, this is another phenomenal match between these two. They just tell awesome stories. Their match, what was it, 2 years ago or last year? I forgot. Time is, who the hell knows what time anything is anymore. Was one of my favorite matches of the year. I voted in my top 10. This one was maybe a little, I liked that one a couple years ago or last year, whatever, better. But that's not to say that this one wasn't still phenomenal. I mean, I went 4 3/4 with it. I thought it was just really, really great. And playing off of so much, I mean, this is the thing that I love. I mean, playing off, if you've watched the New Japan Cup, like you said, the Ocon match mattered. If you watch the Sonata match, that mattered. Yeah. Will trying to tell Red Shoes, hey, he's done, he's over, and Red Shoes be like, no, he's not, he's fine. And Will be like, no, you got to call it. You got to playing off of hey, Red, you couldn't make the call a couple nights ago. Well, now I'm telling you to make the call. He's knocked out again. He's done. That's awesome. And then, the finish is great. And it played off of their past matches. It played off of their best hits. Just so much stuff went into it. That's just, it's next level wrestling.
Maybe it was a work. But it just, Red Shoes just didn't seem like he was, I don't know. Like you said, he's got to be
top tier actor to come up with the confusion on his face and the utter inability to figure out what was going on at any point during that situation.
Kevin Kelly and Chase Owens seemed like they didn't know what was happening. It's just, I don't know, but it's all working together now. But we got Okada versus Naito and Sabre versus Shingo. So.
Okada versus Naito, by the way, it's happening again, and it's going to be in the semifinals of the New Japan Cup. So that's done. That's now just a match, right?
It seems like it, yeah. I mean,
we just got it a couple weeks ago or a month or so ago. We're getting it again here. I mean, that's unfortunately what that tells you is that Naito is pretty. I mean, the days of him being considered, and most people probably know this at this point, but you can really kind of stick a fork in it now at this point.
I'm not quite ready to go that far.
You'd protect this match more, though. You would protect this more. They're not, I mean...
If you were planning on it being another Dome main, I think you would. Yeah.
Right. That's what I'm saying. The idea that, in 2 years, they're going to say, hey, it's Okada versus Naito. I don't know. I mean, I guess you could.
It's got an Okada Tanahashi feel to it now, where it's they'll do it.
They'll do it in G1. Night one of G1 in Dallas, you got Okada Tanahashi. They'll use it in... It's still a big match. I'm not to say that a Naito Okada match isn't going to matter, but it's not going to matter with a capital M like it was for a while there. I mean, that was the top draw in that company. I don't think they consider it that anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I would have a hard time arguing with you because they're doing it twice in the span of a month or whatever. So yeah, maybe that's not in the cards for another Dome. I don't know what story they have to tell with those two at the Dome left to tell. I mean, they kind of wrapped that up. So with Naito going over the last time, which is, the logical conclusion to it all. So that's the last thing Naito needed to do in terms of Okada. So yeah, maybe it is done as that level of match. You could be right. And you're probably right.
So as far as who wins that one, I think at this point, I mean, maybe this all gets kind of negated if Naito beats Okada. And I suppose they could do that story and tell that story, and I guess I wouldn't hate that. Okada going to the finals and losing, I guess, is a potential. I think Okada winning and going to the finals and winning isn't that out of the realm of possibility either. I mean, they might just have him run the table. I would bet against that. I'd probably say that somebody else. I would take the field over Okada right now, but I don't know. I don't have a good thought about Naito going in there and winning, but maybe he does. I tend to think that I kind of put my money on Zach to win the whole thing at this point, but I guess we'll see.
There's a lot of feeling that this would be a good spot to just have Okada run through 50th anniversary. They put the title back on him. Just, the official stamp that this is the guy. And I don't know. I haven't put a ton of thought into who will win. Obviously, none of the four would surprise. I guess Naito would surprise because it would mean they're going to do a third match between these guys this year if he does win. So... But again, speaking to your point, if they just figure, fuck it, let's just run this match into the ground now, then maybe they do want to do a third one between them. But I would put him firmly last, watch him win it now and make me look dumb. But, I think any of them could win. And, you know me with these tournaments. A lot of times I don't want to try to work it.
Yeah, sometimes I like just sitting back and saying, hey, fuck it, let's see what happens,
Yeah. So... it seems like they're reeling you back in a little.
Yeah. I will say one of the things that has helped is they can't cheer yet, but these arenas being full and having a full arena of people clapping is a night and day difference. It doesn't feel like you're watching 0-1 anymore. It's a big time arena. The lights are on. It's filled. The clapping is loud. The rooms are vibrating. The guys seem to be working at a little bit of a faster pace as well. We're getting there. We're healing. The next step is crowds chanting, but there's a night and day difference between, a half filled building, with these guys wrestling in front of crickets and a fully filled building and people just, clapping and making noise as much as they possibly can without cheering. There's a big difference, I think, between the two. And I could sense it this whole New Japan Cup, feeling like, okay, this is what was been missing is full crowds making these noises. Now the next step is obviously let's get because then when that happens, I mean, we're off to the races again. Hopefully.
Yeah. And
I've skipped all the House of Torture stuff, so that certainly has helped. So I haven't watched a second of Bullet Club, House of Torture, Evil's Group, Tonga. I know all that stuff. I know people are like, oh, it's good storytelling. I'm good. I'm glad it's great storytelling. I'm glad you're enjoying it. I'm good forever on Bullet Club anything, so I'm perfectly fine skipping all that stuff, and I have done that, and I've enjoyed the New Japan Cup as a result. So
judicious skipping, very important.
Yeah, you gotta do that. So that's coming up this weekend. So we're up against the clock, but I think we can do NWA Crockett Cup. We're not going to go. I think we're not going to go match by match here. We can go a little over 3 hours, but until
you don't got nothing for me with Gold Rush versus Strictly Business. You got nothing
Gold
for me?
Rush, dude. I gotta admit, I shouldn't like the NWA. The NWA should suck. I love these shows. I don't know why.
Wow, you love them.
I love them. I don't know why. They're just simple pro wrestling. And I don't know why. Sometimes I just like it. It's like very by the numbers. No, a lot of it sucks. A lot of it stinks. A lot of it is really bad. And there's something about it, though. There's just the tone of it is fun. A lot of the angles are just kind of these old school angles. They don't take themselves too serious. I don't know. There's something about the NWA that I'm like, I know it sucks and I know it's not good, but I also enjoy watching it. I have no clue. I have no idea.
No, I'll tell you what, they didn't have 2,000 people in that Nashville fairgrounds like they did for Aldis versus Cody a few years ago. But night one was dead as a doornail. I mean, the fans weren't into anything on night one. But no, I hear you. I thought the TV this week, you should watch the TV this week. It was really, really good. And
Dish Network knows the importance of having a reliable television provider. That's why Dish puts reliability first with 99% signal reliability anywhere in the country, including rural America. So you can watch your teams, news, and favorite shows without being interrupted, no matter where you live. Get 99% signal reliability with Dish. Call 1-844-CALL-DISH. Visit dish.com or find a retailer near you to sign up today. 99% reliability based on data from set-top boxes.
This message is brought to you by Regeneron. If you have diabetes, listen closely because your ears could help your eyes. Excess sugar from diabetes could lead to eye damage and vision loss, even blindness, and you might not even notice it at first. So remember, now is the time to get your eyes checked. Eye care is especially important with diabetes. See a path forward with actions and potential treatment options that may help your eyes and protect against vision loss. Go see an eye care specialist and visit noweyesee.com to take charge of your eyesight. That is NOWEYESEE.com.
Someone who thought the last season was fucking some of the worst wrestling TV you'll ever see in your life. The TV this week, and it'll be on YouTube for free in a couple days. They had the Briscoes versus OGK. They had Austin Aries versus Homicide. They had a great podium promo with Matt Cardona. They had a great interview with Jeff Jarrett, playing off, his explanation for the main event. They started a new thing with Trevor Murdoch, where he's kind of has this edge because he had his title stolen from him, and now he means business. And he fucking killed a jobber and pile drived him and beat him and then cut an angry promo. Yeah. It was, I would say, and I posted this in the Discord, I think, it was probably the best episode of NWA Power ever, but at least since season 1. And I think it was probably the best one ever because it had the charm and the storytelling of season 1, but it also had really good matches on it.
Yeah. With
the Briscoes and the junior title match with Homicide. And season 1 didn't have that. The Lagana era was very much promo and story focused, and the charm was what it was all about. And this was the best of both worlds. It had really good matches, and it had that old charm that it used to have, and all the promos landed, and it didn't feel like it was shindy in any way, which has been plaguing them. So yeah, you should watch it. It'll hit YouTube. Anyone listening who hasn't been paying attention, it was a very, very good episode of NWA Power, probably the best ever, coming off the heels of this.
There you go. Yeah, and again,
I don't think it'll sustain though. I have no.
Yeah, that's probably a pretty safe assumption that it won't sustain.
Yeah, but I don't have any expectations that it's going to remain that good throughout the whole season. I haven't read any spoilers or anything. But it was good. It was a great follow-up to the pay-per-views. Hey, from a business perspective, how about this? They are making a habit of running the entire weekend, 2 back-to-back shows. They run Saturday, they run Sunday. That's pretty smart because, you're not going to get everybody to buy tickets to both, but you are kind of almost doubling your gate by doing it that way because your hardcore NWA fan is going to buy tickets to both. The guy sitting there in the Santa hat and all the regulars and all these people. And you're not even paying everyone like for both nights because if you notice, a lot of the bigger stars like Cardona and Aldis didn't work night 1.
Right.
They only worked night 2. And a lot of the people who worked night 1, who got eliminated from the tournament, didn't work night 2. So you're kind of running almost 2 separate shows and you're not paying everybody twice and everything. And you're getting 2 gates out of it. And they did this for the anniversary. And they did it again here. And if people don't have the bundle package on Fight, you might get people to buy 2 different pay-per-views too. So just from that standpoint, I was thinking about that. It's very smart what they've done with the with the anniversary show. They did it with the women's show was one show and
right. Yeah.
But this time it was Crockett Cup night 1, Crockett Cup night 2. And I think that is a very clever strategy for a promotion of their size to kind of squeeze every dollar out of the people who are into it.
No, they're smart. I mean, you can't say. I mean, it's a weird company. It's a strange company. Not all of it lands.
When it's bad, it is bad.
And when it is bad, there is nothing worse than the bad current NWA. But there's some smart stuff in it. There's some thought into it, and I don't know. It's got a certain charm that definitely works. You got to be a fan of territorial wrestling, though. You definitely got to. And I've been watching a lot of that lately, so maybe that's why it's hitting me at the right level. But yeah, when I was done watching this, I didn't feel like I wasted my time, watching these 2 nights. And there's not really any standout matches. But again, like they're not going for that. They're not going for that sort of thing. And like the things that need to be big, the things that need time, the things that need to have length or whatever, like Cardona and Aldis, the main event of night 2 or whatever. It did. It got 20 minutes. It had like, a pretty hot. I mean, the crowd was way into it. It had some screw jobs and stuff. It had like, I don't know. There's a certain charm that they're trying to do wrestling a little different than everybody else, and they're being unabashedly territorial wrestling, and I think I just appreciate that attempt at doing so. I don't know why. It just lands with me right now.
Yeah. So they did the dusty finish in the world title match. And the big question is, was Jeff Jarrett in on it or not?
Yeah.
His back was turned. But then after the match, after all this won, he noticed Mickey James in the ring. So that was the big follow-up on the TV this week. They had the interview with Jarrett. And we don't know whether he was in on it with Cardona or not, as they did a straight-up dusty finish where they crowned all this and then fucking said, oh, no. It's a DQ.
Yeah.
You're not
the winner of this match by disqualification. No! That's great. And Cardona, dude. Cardona fucking rocks, man. That guy's the best. He's so good right now.
He brings the juice.
He's got Tim Storm getting all pissed off and stuff. That was great. Yeah. That was great. Just good pro wrestling, man. You know what I mean? Like, just good.
Yeah, I mean, it's not going to fill up your notebook.
No,
but,
no, it's not. But yeah, put the notebook away. Put the notebook away for a couple hours. So.
Like, it's just replacement level wrestling.
Yeah, that's fine. That's all I'm asking for sometimes. Yeah,
they weren't bad shows. Briscoe's over.
There were a lot of bad matches on these shows, though. No question. Bad wrestling. A lot.
There was
wrestling.
some. I mean, the worst was like, that was kind of bad. There was nothing where it was like, I hate my life right now. Why am I wasting time?
Everything that was really bad was done in like 4 or 5 minutes, which was nice.
And on the first night, I thought everything was just a perfectly acceptable 2-star match at worst. So, I mean, the Briscoes won the Crockett Cup, and they worked the tapings, obviously, and they beat Doug Williams and Harry Smith. Those were easily the 2 best teams in the tournament.
Oh, yeah. Oh, God, yes.
I thought that the Doug Williams and Harry Smith match against, let me find it. It was the second match they worked on night 2 against Jordan Clearwater and Marche Rockets. I think that was the one. It was the first match in the show where anybody attempted to use traditional tag team wrestling psychology.
Yes.
Where somebody sells, and then there's a hot tag, and then there's a
yeah.
And it really stood out because of that. The Briscoes are just the Briscoes.
I think that was the main. I think that was the main of night 1. Am I correct in that? Yeah, the main of night 1.
Yeah. Which was a disaster because they ended with 25 minutes left and had to fill the time.
Yes.
Just a disaster. I mean, on the pre-show, they gave away the winner of the play-in match because they showed the tournament graphic, and they had the winning team in there before the match happened.
All right, well,
so they gave that away. And then the show ended 25 minutes early. So there was a lot of production snafus on night 1. So you had to have @Billy out there with Joe Galley fill in the rest of the time.
Well, at least they didn't make Mae Valentine fill that time, because that could have been real bad if they did that. She is so bad.
Not as bad as fucking Velvet Sky, but
no, I think she's worse than Velvet Sky. I think Mae Valentine is way worse than Velvet Sky.
So they had Galley and Billy out there like recapping the night, and there's like 10 minutes left, and Galley's like, so it was a great night. And
right. So Billy, what's up?
No, but then Billy cuts him off because he's trying to sign off because he thinks they're done. And Corgan goes, no, Joe, we have 10 minutes left. We're plugging tomorrow night. Like, he says that on the air.
Oh, man.
And then Galley's like, oh yeah, how silly of me. Let's talk about tomorrow night. And then Billy goes into promoter mode and starts motor mouthing night 2. Like, he was gonna use every fucking second of the time that they had to plug the next night. And when Galley tried to, so that was kind of funny.
I did want to write this down. Speaking of funny Joe Galley moments, as Hawks Ari is in the ring with The End, they're getting ready to start their opening match of the Crockett Cup. And Joe Galley goes, a main event anywhere in the world. I just want to ask Joe. Joe, where? Where in the world is Luke Hawks and PJ Hawks versus Otison and Perro? What world do you live in where that's a main event, pal? Because it's the opener of this show.
Joe, it's not a main event tonight.
Right, it's the opener tonight. So. In this world, it's not the main event. So I don't know what world your main event is, but yeah, it's not here. Because
No. What are we talking about, Joe? There's putting stuff over, and then there's losing your credibility when you're putting stuff over.
Velvet Sky, as you mentioned on commentary, many times, my favorite thing to say when you're given a microphone for an entire wrestling show, I have nothing to say. there are no words. It's like, well, there needs to be words. Like,
yes,
that's your job.
Your job is words.
Like, I hate to tell you, you got to say something. You got a microphone. That's the point of the commentary. She goes, I don't know what to say. There's nothing to say. No, there has to be something. That's your job.
My other favorite moment from her was La Rebellion, the tag champs. Were in the first round against the Tate twins or the Bad News Boys, whatever they're calling themselves now. The former Dalton Castle guys. What were they called? The boys.
The boys. Yeah, the boys.
I'm glad to see them get another shot. But so La Rebellion, the tag champs, they win the match. And the first thing Velvet Sky says is, "And still, Velvet."
It's
not a title match. It's a tournament match, Velvet. Titles are not on the line. You know, there's no end still. They're end still even if they lost.
Oh,
jeez.
God.
She's completely lost.
Yeah, she's really bad. Which sucks because Tim Storm is awesome. He's great.
He's good.
And Galley is like, he says dumb stuff, but he's fine. He's like, again, he reminds me of like a territorial, television announcer being put into this wild, wild world of wrestling. And it kind of works. I like it.
Yeah.
No, but Velvet is abhorrently terrible.
She really does say, "I have no words." Like,
all the time. Yeah. Wow. There's nothing I could say here. So
everything can't be shocking. Like, you know, because then when something is shocking, it's not shocking anymore. I thought they made a big, well, not a big, well, I don't know about big mistake, but the play-in match were 3 outsider teams, and there were only 2 outsider teams in the actual tournament, the Briscoes and Doug Williams and Harry Smith. It would have been a more interesting tournament if those other 3 outsider teams were in the tournament.
Right, like, did we need Mims and the Pope? Like, we could have told those guys to stay home for this. We don't need those guys. You know what I mean?
It would make the Crockett Cup feel like it was something that teams all over the world are gunning for.
Right. And they spend a lot of time on the show, and they always do for these Crockett Cups, saying, "Oh, hey, the original Crockett Cup brought teams together from the NWA, and they'll mention like teams from all over the world and teams from, and yeah, that was part of what made the Crockett Cup cool. Like, at the end of the day, you knew who was going to win. It was going to go through, Jim Crockett Promotions. It was going to be one of those teams that was going to win it. But yeah, at least like it was cool to see, oh man, I don't know, these 2 teams that will never face each other ever again, and this team from this place and this team from this country and that sort of stuff. It did kind of, like Mims and the Pope didn't need to be here. The Fixers, they're funny, but like we probably could have kept the Fixers at home or whatever, and maybe used a few of those outsider teams. I
would have liked to have seen the Tate twins, Violence is Forever, and the Heat Seekers in the actual tournament, because the Heat Seekers had a cool story. Former tag team champs in the NWA. They're coming back for the first time in the Billy era. And they talked about that, but then only one of those teams were in the actual tournament because they were all in that, play-in match or whatever, which they gave away the winner of when they showed the fucking tournament brackets on the screen. So to me, that was a misstep. I would have liked to seen all those. I didn't need all of these NWA teams that we see on Power every week all in the tournament. We could have done without a few of them. So, and the old Crockett Cups, like you said, it'd be like, oh, here's the Kansas Jayhawks from Central States, and maybe they'd win a match or 2, but we knew it would come down to the Jim Crockett teams. We all knew that, but it would have made this feel more important if they could have peppered in all these outsider teams, like, oh, look at this, there's teams from everywhere who want to win this Crockett Cup. And we ended up with 2 outsider teams in the final anyway, and one of them won it, but it would have been nice to see some new blood as opposed to all these corny ass teams that they always use. But, the ill-begotten, they got to go. It's just so bad. But, yeah, I don't know. Night 2 had some good. I thought was the better night.
Night 2 was great. Yeah, I well, not great. Let me reel in great there. Great is
easy to go Galley.
Yeah, great.
Easy to go Galley.
Definitely a big word to use. It wasn't great. It was entertaining. I think Night 2 was way better than Night 1. In that sense. But yeah, you had the fun stuff. I thought the Jack Stain stuff was pretty fun. He loses the match to Mayweather, beats him up, and then, has a challenge, so he's able to, challenge him again and win in 30 seconds. I thought that was, fun to do. I enjoyed that aspect of it. And yeah, Tyrus and Rodney Mack also had a match, and that was
that was pretty bad. Yeah. No, the Crockett Cup final was good.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The world title match was, overbooked mess, but you expected that once Jarrett was the referee. The junior 4-way was fine. Homicide, Austin Aries, Colby Carino, and Darius Lockhart. That's pretty good.
I do love their the throwback to like the classic days of the NWA juniors, where they're just basically like guys that we're not going to push as heavyweights, guys that are small. They're not like, when you think of juniors, you think, oh man, here we go. And it's like Homicide, Austin Aries, Colby Carino, and Darius Lockhart are definitely not the guys that you would think of. So it does feel like a little bit more of like the Mr. Electricity era of NWA juniors. You know what I mean?
Well, they even have pointed that out because they said the weight limit's 225, and they said a million times, like, that's big for
right.
Juniors. So we have kind of a junior heavyweight division that's a little bigger. They kept saying that, and they pushed the history of the Crockett Cup a lot too. Like, and they talked about the history with the Heat Seekers. They do work the history in. They don't ignore the history. History didn't start when Billy bought it. Does this promotion need 7 titles?
Do they have 7 titles?
Let's count them up. Okay. National. The women's tag. The world title.
The women's tag, right? Yeah.
The TV title. The women's title. That how many is that? 5, 6?
I think we're at 5. We're at 5 now, I think, right? Or is it 6? National, women tag, world junior, world women's, television. You're right. Yeah, okay, yeah. No, it's 5.
They have
That's
6 or 7 titles.
Yeah, they have 6, I think.
They have 6 titles in this company.
It's probably more than they need. Yeah. I always forget about the women's tag. And I just watched that match like a couple hours ago, but yeah.
We don't need 6 titles in this company. I mean, when it started, it was world and tag. And then they brought the TV in, but the TV had the 605 gimmick. So it felt a little different. You know what I mean? But they just keep rolling out all these titles. Okay, a women's title, fine. Do we need a national title? Do we need come on?
Yeah, women's tags seem like a little much.
Women's tags a little egregious. Junior. I mean, if we have a TV and a national, do we need a junior? Especially when you're making the weight limit higher.
Yeah.
Let's pick a lane. Somebody's got to go. It's too many titles. But and they just keep adding them. But, decent little show night too.
What'd you think of Camille, real quick, before we, because she cut a promo on night 1, and she's getting better at promos, but I still would never, ever have her talk, ever.
I would never, ever talk. I think that
the voice it's rough. And I think Camille is good. I think she's improving a lot. Her look's awesome, but God, the voice doesn't match the look at all. It's tough. It's a real tough.
The thing about it, though, is, believe it or not, her promos are getting better.
They are getting better. They're not. It's not the content, really. It used to be the content. The content used to be pretty bad. In addition to the delivery and the voice is just tough. It just doesn't. She doesn't come across like she looks. She looks like a badass. She doesn't talk like a badass though, and it hurts.
No. She's got to find her cadence, and she's got to find her rhythm and her voice when she talks. Come with time. I think it's good that the NWA exists I've said this before, for people like that who really need to develop, not just in the ring, but with their promos. And you get a chance to talk in that company.
Oh yeah. And she got it was like a 5-minute promo or whatever. And it started off rough, and then it kind of got going as it went on. And yeah, this is the thing you need is, developmental is good. Developmental, every wrestling ever has needed developmental in some way, shape, or form. And yeah, she, like you said, from a year to where she was, where she was a year ago to where she is today, she's improved a lot in that way. And you can only imagine that if she keeps having the reps, there's potential for her to continue to improve and maybe just fully figure it out. And once she gets that, once she kind of figures out the cadence, and once she figures out the promo, I mean, because the work is definitely caught up. The work is there. The look is never going to be a problem. I mean, look at her. She's going to be fine. She's going to keep her body in tip-top shape because she's competition. She does all that sort of stuff. So she's always going to keep that. And yeah, the look is and she looks strong as hell. The gears, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that works for her. It's just, yeah, you need the promo right now. And that's still lacking a little bit.
Yeah. And I mean, we say she should never talk again, but then she's not going to get better.
Right.
So it's kind of like that double-edged sword. So you got to have to let her talk, or she's never going to get better. But, we need places like this. It's kind of like, this is not the final destination for anyone. And I think Billy realizes that. It's only the final destination if you're someone who can't get booked anywhere else. And it's like, Bram is not getting booked anywhere else. It's his final destination. But is that guy's name is Bram? He was Bram, right?
Yes. Latimer is Bram.
Latimer, yeah. But it's like, if you're Darius Lockhart, for instance, even if you sign with them, this isn't or you hope that this isn't your final destination. And someone like her, same thing. So it's good that this exists for people like that where they can work on everything. And I do think that's one advantage to this era of the company versus the early days when it was just all like 3-minute matches. That was cool and it made it a novelty, but that didn't do much for the young talent. It taught them how to work a different style of match, but that's the only kind of match that they were doing. Like even the pay-per-views back then were short matches and everything. And it's like, in modern wrestling, that's not really preparing you because we all know that short matches are not the in thing on television wrestling. So now I think it's a better blend, at least for the development of talent, where they get to cut a lot of promos in front of fans, not just in front of a camera where you get 19 shots at it. In front of fans, sink or swim, and they sink a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And you also, because they're, it's not just all short matches anymore, and, they get the proper reps too inside the ring. Somebody like, I don't know, Tootie Lynn, who they've used on occasion, could really use all of that, So, Aaron Stevens, it doesn't matter. He's just there because that's who he is.
There's not much else for Aaron to do these days. So.
Mike Knox, he's got nowhere else to go. So it's like, and I'm not even knocking those guys. It's good that they have a place to make money too. Trevor Murdoch, he's doing some fun work. I'd like that. If this didn't exist, he'd be fucking, I don't know, doing whatever it is he does when he isn't wrestling. So I don't know. That's we will never quit.
No, until the day those 3 letters go away forever. We will never ever quit the NWA. We didn't quit during the Tharp era. We didn't quit during any other weird era. We're not quitting during the @Billy era. We're quitting when NWA quits. So as long as this podcast is alive, NWA discussion will continue on this show. So there we go. That was the Crockett Cup. Available on Fight, you said, right? Nights 1 and 2, both available on Fight. There's a package too. There's like you said, there's a whole year package or whatever that you bought, right? You're good to go for the rest of the year now.
Well, yeah, I bought it because if you pay by the month, it's like $4.99 a month. But then you just get the TV shows, which end up on YouTube for free a couple days later. And I feel like that's a ripoff. Like, why am I paying for something I could watch for free? But if you buy the packet, if you buy the $49.99 year, like if you pay $49.99 for the year, you get all of the TV shows, Power Surge, NWA USA. You get the occasional Power Surge specials that don't go on YouTube, and you get all of the pay-per-views included too. So the first pay-per-view that comes around pays for itself, pays for the package, because you're only paying $50 for the whole year. So if they're doing 4 pay-per-views or whatever it is, and really they're doing 2 on each week. So if they're doing like 8 pay-per-views a year, like that $50 becomes a bargain.
Yeah, well, and look at it right here. So I just went over to Fight, voiceswrestling.com/fight, by the way. The Crockett Cup 2022 pay-per-view bundle is $45 to get both Crockett Cups. NWA All Access, also available on Fight, voiceswrestling.com/fight, is $50 a year. So you already made your money back. You know what I mean? Like you need $5 worth more of content for the rest of the year to make your money back.
Right. And I mean, there's not a ton of value in getting the TV shows a couple days early, but they do some television specials that won't end up on YouTube.
Yeah.
So they do give you a little value there, not just getting them a little early, but there's also some stuff that won't be on YouTube. And then the pay-per-view is where the value is. Like, I don't have to worry about paying for the pay-per-views now. They're just part of the bundle.
And you're somebody who works hard enough to just say, fuck it, I don't need to be on sketchy, weird websites. I'm just going to click play and let it play in HD. Sometimes it's easier.
Convenience. It's $50 and it's taken care of, and I don't have to think about it now.
And you can write it off too. So.
Of course we write it off. Come on now. You just did your taxes.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I am now a believer in the write-off. Yeah. That's TurboTax. I love that TurboTax says, hey, what about this? And you go, yeah, what about that? You're right. Yeah. You're right. And what about my cell phone?
And then TurboTax says, and what about this, dummy? Why haven't you included this yet?
You're right.
Yeah.
So I'm still working through that. I'm still working through the, hey, what about this? Which is great. I love it. So yeah, continue help me out, TurboTax. Right off everything is the way to go. But all right, that is it for this episode of the Flagship. We'll be back next week, obviously, to preview WrestleMania weekend, probably get ourselves in trouble, talk about Joe Lanza's Path of Glory, the matches, the shows that you need to watch, that you need to check out from the weekend. That will be happening next week. And then I am out. Then Joe is doing solo, but I'll be back. I'm just going to miss 1 week of the Flagship, but then I'll be back there. But yeah, we'll have a bunch of coverage up at voicesofwrestling.com of the WrestleMania weekend, and maybe some more stuff to come as well at Flagship Patreon. .com. So if you're listening to this right now live, you are a $10 subscriber, you're good. But if you're listening to it on demand and you want to start listening to the Flagship live, you want to start getting some of our written content, you want to get everything we do at flagshippatreon.com, upgrade to that $10 tier. You can also do the $5 tier and get a lot of our bonus audio as well. But all that is available at flagshippatreon.com. We also have a Discord, voicewrestling.com/Discord, so you can join that as well. So that's it for us. For Joe Lanza, I'm Rich Craich. We'll talk to you next time on the Flagship Podcast. Take care.